Entertainment and Sports Network.
We are down to the last few days of spring training. In fact, after tonight's ball game, only one more game here at Steinbrenner Field during spring training. Players going through the paces. Final week, getting ready for the real deal next Friday against the Rays. As tonight, the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball. It's going to be the New York Yankees against the Philadelphia Phillies from Steinbrenner Field here in Tampa, Florida. Hi, everybody. Ken Singleton along with David Cohn once again tonight. The Yankees and the Phillies are underway, and Michael Pineda is going to get the start for the Yankees tonight. The big right-hander's had a pretty good spring, but what can you expect from him tonight, David?
You know, there's been a lot of squawking about his velocity and how come he's not lighting up the radar gun, but he's been working all spring on his rhythm. You see that full old-school wind-up over the head. A lot of change-ups this spring, some sliders. His velocity's been creeping up to 94 his last start. I expect him to continue to get better. I think he's right on track. I like his delivery. I think Pineda's going to be just fine.
Let's check out his numbers from this spring. You can see how he's been stretched out. His last start, 5 innings, 5 hits. He's had about a strikeout per inning this spring. That's what he did last year as a rookie with the Seattle Mariners. So Pineda gets a start for the Yankees tonight. You have two of the top teams in baseball. Last year's winners of the National League East, the Philadelphia Phillies against the American League East winners, the New York Yankees. We got them coming up next. Stay tuned. Yankees and Phillies on Yes. Tonight's game on Yes is brought to you in part by Chevy. With a full line of award-winning models, find out more at ChevyOffers.com. By Wendy's. Head to Wendy's and try one of our W double cheeseburgers. Dig into the W today. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Well, the fans headed to their seats here at Steinbrenner Field. The Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies be underway in just a few moments here. In fact, the Yankees have taken the field, and Michael Pineda will be in the middle of the diamond taking his final warm-up tosses. It is get to face a lot of the Philly regulars tonight. Charlie Manuel sends over his A-team, and the Phillies will have Juan Pierre, the speedy one, at the top. He'll be in left field. Shane Victorino, the flying Hawaiians in center. They got a lot of speed. Jimmy Rollins will be the shortstop batting third. Jim Tillman, future Hall of Famer, will be the designated hitter. He bats fourth. Hunter Pence will be in right field. Placido Polanco will be at third. Ty Wigginton will be at first tonight. Carlos Ruiz does the catching. And batting ninth is the second baseman, Freddie Galvis. You're looking at Charlie Manuel, the winningest manager in Philadelphia Phillies history.
Michael Pineda. See, last year with the Mariners, he made 28 starts, 9-10 record. They didn't get a lot of run support. The ERA is good. He had a great first half. You see 133 hits and 171 innings. He is hard to hit. We'll give you the Volkswagen pitcher scout report. He's getting stronger. A lot of talk we said in the opening about his velocity. He creeped up to 94 his last one. I think part of that reason is he's been working on that changeup, and it's looked good this spring. And the thing I like, Kenny, is no interpreter. You know, he's trying to communicate with the media on his own without any help. I really admire that. I think that's a great move in New York for this young right-hander.
Let's check out the Yankees on defense, brought to you by the Home Depot. Let's start in the outfield from left to right. You got speedy Brett Gardner in left, Curtis Granderson in center, and Justin Maxwell gets the start in right field tonight. Rodriguez, Jeter, Cano, and Chavez round out the infield, and Russell Martin doing the catching for Michael Pineda. So both teams with the regulars in the lineup tonight. Juan Pierre, the active leader in stolen bases with 554 during his career. The Phillies signed him as a minor league free agent over the winter. He's trying to hook on as a fourth or fifth outfielder. An excellent bunter. Alex Rodriguez just about reach out and shake hands with Juan Pierre. It's time for baseball, and the first pitch is maybe a little bit high for ball one.
Juan Pierre was added to the 40-man roster, so he has made this team. And talked to Charlie Manuel before the game.
Pitch is lined by Jeter into left field for a base hit. Pierre is on. So that's what he has done over many, many years as a leadoff hitter. He's an excellent bunter. Slashes the ball to the opposite field for yet another base hit. And he's looking across the diamond at third base coach Juan Samuel to see if anything's in the offing here in the early going. Here's Shane Victorino. Three-time Gold Glove winner in center field for the Philadelphia Phillies. Pierre's got a good lead. He's going to draw some attention to throw immediately over the first to send him back to first base. Big start for Pineda tonight, trying to impress just one more time here in spring training. Pitch is hit on the ground towards the hole. It's going to be on in the right field for a base hit. Juan Pierre gets the second. He's going to hold on there as Justin Maxwell gets the ball in quickly. So back-to-back singles against Pineda to get things started for the Phillies here in the first inning.
This is what the Phillies are going to need all year long with that pitching staff. As you see, Victorino knows the holes on the right side. Pierre can run. Gets a fastball out over the plate and just hooks it in the hole.
Former MVP Jimmy Rollins is in the third spot tonight. Now, one thing the Phillies are missing as they get ready to start the regular season, Chase Utley, their all-star second baseman, will begin the year on the disabled list with bad knees. Both his knees are bothering it. And the cleanup hitter, Ryan Howard, of course, had Achilles tendon surgery following an injury last year on the last play of the season, and he's out until maybe June. The first pitch is inside for ball one. So the number 3 and 4 hitters for the Phillies will not be around for a while. And Philadelphia's going to rely even more on their starting pitching, which is very, very good. Maybe the best in the big leagues. 2 on, nobody out, and a 1-0 count on Jimmy Rollins. And that is high. Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. In fact, Rollins and Utley have been together for the last 9 seasons in Philadelphia. Half that act will be missing come opening day. Rollins hits one hard on the backhand. Chavez. He goes to Jeter. Nice scoop at second for 1. The throw to first is not in time. Rollins beats the relay. So they get the middle runner, and now there's runners on the corners with 1 out.
Well, Chavez with a nice stab on the backhand, and Jeter with a nice pick, and Pineda's got to be there. He's not. Chavez tries to save him. But you see right here, Pineda right there, he just hesitates. He doesn't break right away, and that's going to cost him. He had a chance to get a double play.
So now the Phillies still have a threat. A nice play by Jeter in the middle here to scoop that throw from Chavez out of the dirt and try to complete the double play. So now Pineda first and third. 1 out. It'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Jim Thome, the designated hitter tonight. Thome, the future Hall of Famer with 604 career home runs. Runner goes from first. The look towards third. The throw to second is in time. They got him. Russell Martin cuts down Jimmy Rollins. Pierre holds it third. Now there are 2 outs.
Jimmy Rollins gets a good jump, but Martin just a peek at third to hold the runner. Jeter with another good pick out of the dirt. Jimmy Rollins, you know, not the best time to run if you're thinking the tag up high.
I don't think so. With Jim Thome at the plate, the fly ball would score a run. Now there's 2 outs. A fly ball would be the 3rd out of the inning. First pitch to Thome was a ball. Next one's a little upstairs. Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. You notice as David called it, just a look at third base by Russell Martin before delivering the second. Just that look that frees the runner so Pierre wouldn't start from third. That's a key play in that situation. Thome takes a pitch for a called strike, and it's 2-1. I was talking to Jim Thome before the game, one of the nicest guys in baseball that you ever want to meet. And he was telling me, you know, he's getting towards the end of his career, but his career actually started in the Cleveland Indians organization in the Gulf Coast League. Who was his hitting coach? Charlie Manuel, way back when. Back in 1989. Little did they know that Jim Thome was on his way to hitting over 600 home runs. So Charlie schooled him right from the beginning.
It's nice to see somebody still playing that I pitched against. I'm definitely in Jim Thome's book. Hit a monster grand slam off of me when he's with Cleveland in the playoffs. Still wakes me up at night.
Has it landed yet? 3-1 pitch, and it's ball 4. Thome draws a walk, and that's nothing new. He's got a career on-base percentage over 40%. So once again, it's first and third, this time with 2 outs. Nade's struggling here in the early going. He's had that happen to him in some other starts this spring. He struggled to get into his start and then settle down.
It was sort of his trend in Seattle last year as well. Pineda would start out the game with a little lower velocity, and as the innings wore on, his velocity seemed to pick up.
All-star Hunter Pence came over to the Phillies in a deal with the Houston Astros last year, and he takes a curveball inside ball 1. Pence became a fan favorite with his all-around hustle. Kind of an unorthodox player. Power hitter who chokes up on the bat. He says, well, Barry Bonds used to choke up on the bat.
He's got some speed, both sides of the ball, too. He plays defense well.
Swing and a miss. Didn't get cheated on that, but it's ball and a strike. Pence has a couple of home runs this spring.
Pence with the open stance. Pineda with kind of, you know, his fastball's cutting a little bit on early in the going here.
Foul back. I was saying Pence has a couple of home runs this spring, both against the Yankees in the first 2 games of spring training. He hasn't hit one since. That's what he did with Houston and then with the Phillies. Drove in 97 runs a year ago in the National League. Pineda tried to get out unscathed here at the top of the first, although he struggled somewhat. 1-2 pitch, good swing, and it's fouled back. He hadn't been fooling too many hitters this inning.
Yeah, his fastball's been up. It looks like he's getting around his fastball a little bit to me, Kenny. You know, he's got kind of an old school big delivery, but his fastball's kind of cutting on him.
When you say around, you mean its delivery needs a little tweaking there.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, maybe his hand's just on the side of the ball a little bit, which is causing his fastball to cut, which may explain some of the velocity dips.
Pitches loop towards right field, and this is going to drop in for a base hit. Pierre is going to score. Tomey's on his way to third, and the Phillies take a 1-0 lead. So Hunter Pence with a 2-strike, excuse me type swing, picks up a run batted in.
Third baseman, number 27.
Well, Hunter Pence can do this, you know. I mean, even though you feel like he's out in front of it, his rear end's going towards the dugout, but he reaches right off the end of the bat, just gets enough of it to get it to the outfield grass.
I'll tell you something, David, when you get a hit like this to drive in a run in your first at bat, you feel you're going to have a good night.
You know, it's the old pitcher's adage, oh, I made a good pitch and he got a lucky hit, but you know what, that's good hitting too. He stayed on that pitch even though he was fooled and got enough of it to get an RBI.
Here's Placido Polanco, the third baseman. Solid player, hits one in the air to right field for Justin Maxwell, who's there, makes the catch. And that is going to do it for the Phillies here in the first inning. They pick up a run on 3 hits at the end of the half an inning. The Phillies have a 1-0 lead on the Yankees. Derek Jeter will be at bat when we come back. Yankees getting their first at bats of the night against a left-hander on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies here at Steinbrenner Field. And here's the Yankee lineup presented by Lexus. At the top, the captain, Derek Jeter. He'll lead it off. Curtis Granderson will bat second. Robinson Cano back in the lineup tonight. He'll be playing second base. Cleaning up is Alex Rodriguez, followed by Eric Chavez. Russell Martin does the catching. Andrew Jones will be the designated hitter tonight. Justin Maxwell's in right. And Brett Gardner in left field and bat ninth. Girardi, that appears to be Mike Harkey, the bullpen coach, is yet to go down to the bullpen. And here's the starting pitcher for the Phillies tonight. It's going to be Antonio Bastardo. He is a reliever by trade, but he gets the start here tonight. And you can see his seasonal numbers. 64 games last year. 70 strikeouts in 58 innings. Those are pretty good numbers.
We'll take a look at the Volkswagen scouting report. He had some health concerns early in the spring. He had some cramping in his pitching arm, and they thought it was due to dehydration. So they tried to hydrate him, get him to drink some more water, and he's bouncing back. That's probably why he's starting tonight to get him some work. And he is tough to hit. Opponents hit 144 off of him, which is the lowest for a Philly reliever since 1920.
Who?
Strikeout stuff, too. He averaged over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings as well.
1920. Derek Jeter hits the first pitch on the ground to Jimmy Rollins. And Rollins delivers the first base for the out. You saw Rollins at short. Let's check out the rest of the Phillies defense, brought to you by the Home Depot in the outfield from left to right. They've got some speed out there with Pierre in left, Victorino in center, and Pence in right. Polanco, Rollins, Galvis, Wigington in the infield, and Carlos Ruiz is doing the catching for Antonio Bastardo.
So Galvis jumps out at you at second base for Chase Utley.
Curtis Granderson takes a pitch for a call strike.
The Phillies really like this young second baseman, even though they'd love to have Chase Utley obviously out there playing. But Galvis has been exciting to watch.
Granderson fouls a pitch down the left field side. It's going to be a long run, and it's going to be Jimmy Rollins who makes the catch in fair territory. Just inside the line, he reaches out and makes the grab.
Looks like he's not going to get there. A quick turn of the glove. Off the bat, I'm thinking no way, he's not going to get there, and that ball's in fair territory, and a nice play by Jimmy Rollins.
Take a seat, Jimmy. Very popular in Philadelphia, just signed a 3-year extension. Here's Robinson Cano. Cano swings at the first. Yankees are up there swinging tonight. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it off. Let's check out the game time weather conditions. Brought to you by Toyota. Here in Tampa, another lovely night. Oh, we dipped under 80 though. 78 degrees. Get your coat, Tony. Partly cloudy in the Bronx, 52. Mostly sunny. Here's a pitch low and away for a ball. Cano hitting just over 200 this spring, but he's starting to come on with the bat. Those are his numbers from last year. Second in the American League in runs batted in. He does lead the Yankees in runs batted in this spring with 10. 1-1 pitch breaks down and away, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Both these teams are among the favorites in their divisions. Take the whole thing in the East in the National League and in the East in the American League. Grab all the second for Galvis. Pistolo's going to have a 1-2-3 inning as he retires Cano. The Yankees go in order. We're going to move on to the second inning. At the end of 1, the Phillies have a 1-0 lead on the Yankees.
We believe in the potential, but I can't tell you I'm certain about anything other than I'm glad that we have a player of his capabilities in the fold, and we certainly hope it translates.
Yankee GM Brian Cashman on the acquisition of the big right-hander Michael Pineda, who gave up a run on 3 hits, including a walk in the first inning. And the Yankees are expecting big things from this large young man. 6'8", about 270 plus pounds. He's going to face Ty Wigington here in the top of the second inning. And David, you think he's got to get on top of his fastball, and you were watching him warm up in between innings here, and he's still slinging it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's trying to manufacture movement or not, but he's getting around his fastball a little bit, and his ball's cutting quite a bit.
Wigington takes one down and away for ball 1.
Now, when you get around your fastball and you manufacture a cut type movement, then your velocity is going to go down because you're going for movement over velocity. So, I could see right now probably why his velocity is down a little bit this spring.
Pitch is fouled back, and it's 1-1 on Wigington.
It's nice to have a cut fastball in your delivery, if he's trying to do that, but Seems like every ball he's just getting around it just a little bit. And if you watch his fastballs, you'll see right to left movement a la Mariano Rivera.
Pitch is popped up and out of play. Wigginton's going to. I'm sorry, David. Go ahead.
Well, you and I did the game out in Seattle last year and watched him pitch, and that certainly wasn't what he was featuring last year. But you see, he's got the old school delivery over the head. You see his wrist is just getting around that fastball as he falls off the mound a little bit.
Here's a good slider, and it's swung on and missed for strike 3. First strikeout of the night for Pineda.
Here's Pineda's slider. He's got a good one. Right on top of it. Wigginton swings at it like it's a fastball. But there's that old school flowing over the head delivery.
Here's Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, and he takes a pitch for a called strike. You can see the movement on the fastball as it gets towards that last 6 inches or so to the plate. It's a little right to left. There it is again, this time just off the corner, and it's a ball and a strike.
It could be that something that maybe he's working on privately. You know, that's the type of movement he's trying to generate on his four-seam fastball. But
there's a curveball, and that drops in, and it's 1-2.
That would explain, you know, last year everybody was talking about Pineda throwing the ball 97, 98 miles an hour. As you see Russell Martin setting up away right here.
This ball's hit well. The left center field is going to have Gardner on the run. He's still moving, and this ball is going to hop over the fence for a ground rule double. That pitch was right down the middle, and Ruiz hit it like he called for it.
A lot of fastballs have been up in the count. Actually, Martin's setting up inside, and you see the ball cutting back over the middle of the plate. And when you're throwing a four-seam fastball that's cutting, it tends to stay flat sometimes, and when it goes towards the middle of the plate, it gets hit hard.
So with 1 out, a runner at second. Yeah, it was right down the middle. Time to back up a base. That'll bring up Freddie Galvis, the second baseman and batting ninth, and he takes a pitch for a strike. Galvis last year was the Phillies minor league player of the year. He played at AA and AAA. He's a shortstop by trade, but it looks like he's going to get a lot of time at second base with the absence of Chase Utley. There's a pitch that misses, a ball and a strike. Charlie Manuel was going to have to do some major maneuvering in the early going, unless Halliday, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, Vance Worley, and Joe Black can really pitch their tails off.
See, that's probably why they like Juan Pierre in left field right now. And they go for the manufactured speed at the top of the lineup with, you know, Pierre and Victorino and then Jimmy Rollins in the 3-hole.
You can see Shane Victorino there patting his manager on the back. They play hard for Charlie. They really like him. Pitch is fouled at the plate. Phillies have won the division 5 years in a row. And here are the major injuries for the Phillies. Michael Martinez expected to return in May. Foot injury. Expected to return in mid-April is Chase Utley. Both knees are bothering him. And expected to return in June is the big man, Ryan Howard. Achilles tendon surgery. Swing and a foul hit, or did he miss it? It is a foul ball off the bat of Galvis.
Good looking slider, gets a tip of it.
Galvis has had a pretty good spring. He actually leads the Phillies and runs batted in with 12, but he's the number 9 hitter. He's gotten a lot of playing time this spring. Ball on the ground to second for Cano. He gloves it, throws on to first for out number 2. On the play, Carlos Ruiz moves over to third base. So Pineda being challenged for the second consecutive inning. He's got a runner at third, 2 outs, and the lineup turns over for Juan Pierre. Pierre had a single and scored the run in the ball game last inning. He's had himself a good spring. Tries to slap a bunt over the head of Alex Rodriguez. one of the best bunters in the game because he works at it. Yeah, Alex well in on the grass. He tried to slash one over his head. This is his game, speed. He's been that way for quite a while.
Yankees, Gardner and Granderson at left and center, maybe the shallowest outfield positions I've seen in a long time.
Wow. Ball is fouled off to the left. In fact, Gardner's playing a deep third base. Pierre down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
See Brett Gardner right there. That is as shallow as you will see any big league left fielder play right there.
That's like little league distance.
Granderson in center as well.
A-Rod drops back to about even with the bag at third. Now with 2 strikes on Juan Pierre. Ball is lined into center field. Coming on is Granderson. He can't get it. It drops in. Pierre has his second hit, and the Phillies have their second run as Carlos Ruiz scores. Couldn't play close enough as Pierre drops him on in front of the Yankee center fielder. It's now 2-0 Phillies.
Well, you see once again Russell Martin setting up away, and the fastball cuts over the middle, and the cutter's flat and up, and a shake of the head, and another hit.
And now a stolen base threat at first with 2 down, and Victorino at the plate. Victorino had a base hit his first time. There's another throw over the first to check on Juan Pierre. This would be a good time for him to go with 2 outs. Even if he's thrown out, you got Victorino leading off next inning. He's not going, and the pitch is just outside for a ball. Mentioned earlier, speed at the top with Pierre at first and Victorino at the plate. Pierre with 554 career steals. Carl Crawford second, Ichiro third, Johnny Damon not signed as of yet. Omar Vizquel, who's in Blue Jays camp. Those are the top 5.
Well, that's a shame. Johnny Damon can't find a place to play. On a march towards 3,000 hits too. He has a chance to get there if he could get the at bats.
I have a feeling that Johnny's not going to be out of work too long. Somebody's going to come and knock him. Pierre has to scramble back. Sometimes when a pitcher throws over and the runner has to scramble back, that tells you his intentions were thinking about the next base. If they get back easily, they weren't going on that particular pitch. Pierre with a good lead. Not going. Pitch is swung on and missed on a changeup. That's the pitch that Pineda's been working on most of the spring. Can working on a changeup so much affect your ability to throw your fastball?
Sometimes it can, especially if you're trying to turn that changeup over and get a screwball type spin on it. It can take a little bit away from your other pitches.
Pierre is going. The pitch is low for a ball. The throw to second is in time. They got him. Russell Martin throws out his second runner of the night. Derek Jeter flags the tag. But the Phillies pick up another run. At the end of inning and a half, Pierre is gone, but the Phillies lead 2-0. Sunday afternoon, the Yankees get their first look at the new Marlins Park when they face off with Jose Reyes in the revamped Miami Ball Club. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock. Michael Kay and Al Leiter have all the action from South Florida, only on YANKEES. I want to get a peek at that ballpark myself. That flag there, if the wind comes up a little bit, it was a stretch out to show you 2009. Of course, Yankee fans remember that as a World Series championship year. They beat the Philadelphia Phillies that year. I'll tell you, Philly fans travel well. We've got a lot of Philly fans here tonight. They train just across the causeway in Clearwater. Alex Rodriguez leading off, and he swings at the first pitch. It's a high fly ball to left field. Pierre going back. I don't think A-Rod got that one. It was in on the hands a bit. There's one out. Just a hair late.
Now for the Yankees, hitting fifth in the order.
And it appears that pitching coach Rich Doobie is going out to the mound. Does he want to do pitching?
Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, Kenny, was my minor league pitching coach with the Royals. That's going to be it for Bastardo, the reliever. They just wanted to get him some pitches.
Get some pitches in. We'll have a new pitcher when we come back right here on YES. One out here in the bottom of the second inning. Yankees down 2-0 to the Philadelphia Phillies. New pitcher is another reliever for the Phillies. It's going to be Chad Pauls, and he'll face Eric Chavez here, getting his first at bat. And first pitch is a called strike.
So Chad Pauls, a veteran reliever, last year with the Padres, 77 games. He's been a workhorse. Several years with Houston, starting in 04, and he's had a quality career up to this point.
Ball and a strike on the Yankee first baseman. So Bastardo goes an inning in the third. Faces 4 batters and retires them all. And if he can get it right back to Clearwater, he'll be back there in about a half hour. Now, David, you mentioned Rich Doobie had been your pitching coach in the minor leagues.
Yes, Rich Doobie, back with the Royals back in the early 80s, was a Royals pitching coach, and never really made it to the big leagues. He kind of topped out at Double-A, but really worked hard and stayed in the game, and finally over the last 12 years has really established himself as one of the best big league pitching coaches around, and this Phillies pitching staff really loves working with him.
Well, he's got a good staff to work with. This pitch is lined over second and into right field for a base hit. First hit of the game for the Yankees. Eric Chavez is on with 1 out. I mean, when you have the likes of Halladay, Lee, Hamels, Vance Worley, the youngster, and Joe Blanton. You got a good starting staff. And now they've got Jonathan Papelbon to close games for you. Phillies led all of baseball in ERA last year.
Yeah, that'll make a pitching coach look good right there. Those numbers.
Wow.
Cole Hamels.
Free agent after the year.
Yes, that's going to be an interesting deal. What happens with him?
Russell Martin takes a pitch downstairs for ball 1. Martin's had a good night already. He's thrown out 2 runners attempting to steal. Very quick. It's all set up by the footwork. And the strong arm, of course. The 1-0 pitch is swung on and missed, and it's a ball and a strike. I mentioned the Phillies just across the causeway in Clearwater. Maybe about a half hour from Tampa. Their fans travel well. A lot of red in the seats tonight here at Steinbrenner Field. That pitch is low, and that's what you see in Philadelphia as well. Citizens Bank Ballpark. 204 consecutive sellouts. And the youngster on the left with the Yankee hat, he was happy 3 years ago in 2009. These two, I don't know. Philly fans got that smug smile on their face in the early going here. Pitch is fouled off by Martin. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's not exactly like the Red Sox and the Yankees. You know, there's not a lot of hatred there. You know, the Phillies more for the Mets.
I'll tell you what, the Phillies must have gotten a short straw in interleague play this year. They play every team in the American League East with the exception of the Yankees in interleague play. Inside the count is full. 3-2. Martin jumps back out of the way. Hard sinker from Qualls.
Qualls has been a workhorse for years. Had some great years in Houston. 70 to 80 appearances per year. Very reliable.
Strong right-hander. The 3-2 pitch is on the way, and it's outside for ball 4. So with 1 out, the Yankees have the tying runs on base. Balls comes in, gives up a base hit, and now a walk. Pitching coach goes for a little walk himself. And here's Andrew Jones, who's tonight serving as the designated hitter. On the phone, somebody's going to be heating up in the Philly bullpen beyond the stands in left field.
It's going to be that kind of game when you start off your game with 2 relievers. You know, Bastardo got his work in. Now Qualls is obviously a longtime reliever on a pitch count. And
what is Bonilla warming up? 2 on 1 out. The first pitch to Jones misses. Ball 1. It's Lisaberto Bonilla. Outside, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. So Qualls having a little problem with the strike zone here. Eventually you got to lay one in there. And I tell you, if it's towards the middle of the plate, Andrew Jones is going to put a good swing on it. You can bet on that. And he takes one. A little movement on the fastball for a called strike.
Qualls has always had that heavy sinker. He could pound that sinker down in the low 90s. Gets a lot of ground balls.
In a bit of a jam here in the second. High, ball 3. 3 balls and a strike to Andrew Jones. Two on, 1 out for the Yankees here in the second. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded with 1 out. So Qualls with his second walk in as many batters. Well, Chavez the third. Martin goes down to second, and Jones is now at first. He hasn't retired to batter. And I'll bring up Justin Maxwell, who's getting a lot of playing time of late. He's having a pretty good spring. He's driven in 8 runs. He's got Chavez at third, looking for some more RBIs. Martin at second. Jones at first. Maxwell hitting at .333 this spring. Pitch is grounded towards the middle, and Jimmy Rollins has it, throws it second for one, not in time the first. It looked like that ball was going to scoot through and get into the outfield. The Yankees do pick up a run, and it's now a 2-1 game as Maxwell gets the RBI.
Well, you're exactly right, Kenny. It looked like it was base hit all the way up the middle. Jimmy Rollins has great range, gets there. And the young kid, Galvis, I didn't think he'd have a chance to turn this. He really hangs in there. Rollins with a nice flip. And all over him is Andrew Jones. Still gets off the throw, does Galvis. And even though there's probably no chance, but showed some guts hanging in there at second.
Well, Galvis's primary position is shortstop. And there was some feeling if the Phillies did not sign Jimmy Rollins to an extension, Galvis is going to be their shortstop. Here's Brett Gardner batting in the 9th spot. Yankees have cut the Phillies lead in half. It's now a 2-1 game. And Gardner takes a pitch for a called strike. Gardner, numbers from last year. Last night's ball game, he went 1 for 3 against Baltimore. There's that sinker you're talking about, David. It misses outside. 93 with some movement. Ball and a strike. Runners on the corners for the Yankees. Gardner with a chance to tie up the ball game with 2 down. Check on Maxwell at first. He's stolen 4 bases this spring without being caught. Remember, he's about 6'6". He's got good speed.
Got a lot of scouts watching him too. There's a lot of interest in Maxwell.
He's out of options,
including these Phillies who have looked at him too.
There he goes. Pitches outside for a ball. The throw to second is high, and Maxwell steals his 5th base of the spring. Well, now the Yankees have the go-ahead run in scoring position.
Good jump. You can see he's really relaxed, but gets a running lead. Easily under the tag.
So second and third now with 2 outs. There's that sinker outside once again, and the count is 3-1. Balls is 1 pitch away from reloading the bases. This is not the way that the Phillies envisioned him getting his work in tonight.
Big movement with that 2-seamer, but he's having a hard time finding where to start it to get it in the strike zone.
Ball is hit on the ground to short for Rollins. Quickly across the diamond to retire Gardner. But the Yankees pick up a run here in the 5th inning. I should say in the 2nd inning. At the end of 2, it's 2-1 Phillies.
I like the way I threw the ball yesterday, and I went far in the game, and that's very important for me.
You said you've been using all your pitches. You got up to about 95 pitches yesterday. How do you feel? Are you ready for the season to start?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I threw, like you say, 95 pitches yesterday, and I threw a lot. I threw like 90 the other day too. So I'm thinking I'm stretching. I think I'm ready to go.
A lot of questions about who's going to be in the rotation. 6 guys for 5 spots. How do you feel about what you've done down here and whether you deserve to be in the rotation?
I mean, I know I give a lot of runs a lot of home runs to this spring training, but I take this spring training to work on my pitching and what I have to work, and I think I'm going to be in the rotation.
So you would be surprised if you weren't in the rotation?
No, I'm not. I mean, I want to be there, so if I'm not, of course, you got to be surprised, but I think I'm in the rotation.
Well, it was our Jack Curry talking to Ivan Nova about his pitching yesterday in a minor league game. There's Joe Girardi, the Yankee manager, who's got the tough decision about the rotation. Who stays, who goes. Jack is joining us here in the top of the 3rd inning, and let's talk about Ivan Nova and the way he's pitched.
I think you're right, Kenny, that it's a tough decision for Girardi, but you hear Nova right there, a lot of confidence, and sure, he has an ERA of about 7 this spring. They don't count the minor league game that he pitched in yesterday. Those don't count toward the stats. But when Joe Girardi has talked about assessing these pitchers, he continually says that you can't forget about what Nova did last season. So based on that, and every time he mentions that, I do believe Nova, there won't be a surprise. I do believe he will be in that rotation. I think he has sewn a spot up, but Girardi hasn't given up anything yet. And in talking to Nova off camera, he admitted he's a little antsy. He'd like to know. He'd like to know the answer. He'd like to know what his season is going to look like.
Well, we got 1 week to go here in spring training. We're going to find out soon. Nova, of course, last year went 16-4 in the rookie season. Didn't lose a game all summer long. As Pineda walks Jimmy Rollins here with 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. Now, how about the rest of the rotation? How did things shape up there?
I think, Kenny, that Joe Girardi in his session with the media today, I think he gave some clues. He gave the rotation what the Yankees are using for the rest of spring training. Now, Adam Warren will pitch tomorrow. He's going to end up going back to Scranton. But then it's CC Sabathia on Sunday. Hughes and Kuroda are going to split Monday's game. Nova is going to pitch on Tuesday. And then Garcia and Pineda will split Wednesday's game. So you could look at that schedule and say, CeCe's going to be your opening day starter. Kuroda will pitch game 2. Hughes will pitch game 3 with an extra day of rest. Nova will pitch game 4 with an extra day of rest. And then you're up to game 5, and it's Pineda and Garcia. And I think that's the decision that they're trying to mull over right now.
Do you think this is boiling down to that last start between those two, Pineda and Garcia, splitting a game? Is who's going to be the 5th man in the rotation? I
think that, as Joe Girardi has said, it's all about the information that comes his way. I think tonight is very important for Pineda. I think they're watching what he's doing out there. I think some of his secondary pitches you have to be really happy with. I think they're probably still looking for more velocity on that fastball. We saw a 94 in the 2nd inning. I don't know if it comes down to what happens on Wednesday, Kenny, but it certainly is a situation where they're not ready to say just yet who has those last few spots.
Not a particularly good ball strike ratio tonight for Pineda. He's walked a couple, has 1 strikeout, checks on Jimmy Rollins at first. Let's move on to the injury situation. You got David Robertson, who we're all awaiting to come back healthy and really help out the Yankee bullpen. He seems to be moving along just fine.
He is. He pitched in a Double-A game today, though, Kenny, and I wonder, David, what you would think about this. I always hear pitchers saying you go down there in the minor leagues and those kids are going to take their hacks against you. And Robertson actually had to build up some arm strength and threw 2 innings today, but he gave up some hits, 5 hits, 2 runs. And I think it was a matter of those kids were going to try and take some hacks at him. They know who David Robertson is.
Yeah, they, the minor league guys, they're hard to walk. They're swinging the bat, so you can't really set them up.
Rollins is on the move. The ball is lined down the right field line and headed for the corner. Rollins is headed to 3rd. Juan Samuel is waving him home. Jim Thome is going to be in the 2nd with a run-scoring double, and the Phillies now lead it 3-1. They're building a fence post up on the scoreboard there. 1 run into 1st, 1 into 2nd, and now 1 here in the 3rd against Pineda.
You see Russell Martin setting up away, and you see the fastball once again. He's around it, and it cuts back towards the middle of the plate. Jim Thome's all over it. That's the way he used to swing the bat when I threw that pitch in there. So Jimmy Rollins picks it up quickly, and now at this point, he's running well. He's going to easily score.
So Pineda's struggles continue here in the third inning, with Philadelphia now leading 3-1. Jimmy Rollins scoring all the way from first. So getting back to David Robertson, he got roughed up by the minor leaguers. It's probably happened in the past. And you go down and maybe I'm not saying his heart was completely in it, because he's not facing big league hitters.
I think what Joe Girardi wants though now is arm strength, because he missed that amount of time with the bone bruise on his foot. That's why he threw 2 innings today. He's not really a 2-inning guy. They won't use him really for 2 innings during the season, but they want him to build that arm strength back up. But we showed that ball strike count with Pineda a little while ago, and that was the same thing with Robertson. Still trying to perfect some of his pitches. His breaking pitches really weren't where he wanted them to be today. The curveball wasn't as sharp as it normally is during the season. So for him, I think it's a matter of getting the work in right now, and he's got a week left to try and get himself ready so that he's ready for the opener.
Another Yankee dealing with some injury issues is Nick Swisher. How close is Nick to getting back into the lineup?
Very close, Kenny. In fact, when someone asked him what's the last hurdle that you need to overcome to get back in the lineup, he said the manager. So Joe Girardi wanted him to. He played in a minor league game today and got a bunch of at-bats, played 5 innings in the outfield. He's almost ready to let it go. He said he's ready to be out there. Girardi said let's give him Saturday off, and he's looking to possibly play him on Sunday, and that would include playing in the outfield.
That sounds like an answer you would get from Nick Swisher.
Absolutely. And that sounds like what the Yankees should do. You don't want to rush a guy back. You have a little bit of time to work with here, and you would leave Swisher with what, those 5 or 6 days to get himself ready and get himself ready to face the Rays and James Shields.
Yeah, Nick has been dealing with some groin issues this spring and came into spring training in tremendous condition. He and Russell Martin in particular looked like they were ready to run a triathlon. Hunter Pence is at the plate and he swings and misses and has struck out. So Pineda gets him to chase a high fastball, picks up his 2nd strikeout of the game, but the Phillies have scored again here in the 3rd inning.
You see Russell Martin setting up away, and Pineda goes up on top of the strike zone, up and in. But you can see Pineda's location hasn't been there, although above the ladders is always good.
Jack, we're watching the Phillies here tonight. What do you think about the Phillies' chances with the absence of Howard and Utley? We've been talking about it a little earlier.
I think this team, the first thing I think about this team, though, is always pitching. Yeah. And I know with those 2 players, that side of your infield, it's a loss when you don't have those guys, but I still look at the pitchers that they are going to put out there every 5 days, and that's what I like so much about this team. They need Utley. I mean, they need to. Utley's got to come back and prove that he can be the player that he was. I think with Howard, that was an injury where, as long as he heals, I believe they think he'll be who he was when he comes back. Utley's a guy who's beaten himself up over the years, plays that very rough, very aggressive style, and I think they want to just see him get back to that player, even if it's a case where you're not playing 155 games anymore, Chase. You're going to play 135, but they just want to get him to be that guy again. Yeah,
both knees are now bothering the all-star second baseman. Polanco's at the plate with a count of 1-1. That pitch misses inside for a ball.
Yeah, it's almost been top secret over there, right? Utley doesn't really talk to the media that much, although he had a press conference the other day for the first time in a month, and then Ruben Amaro had to come and sort of counteract that press conference, and a little miscommunication between the organization and the player, and a little bit of a mystery there, and not a lot of communicating with the media.
David, a couple years ago when I was still a sports writer, well, I still write for YesNetwork.com, but when I was writing for the New York Times, I did a feature on Chase Utley and trying to get him to just agree to do the interview, and then the amount of time that he would give. He wasn't being impolite. He just didn't want to do it. He avoids the media. He doesn't like talking about himself. And this is when he was pushing to be an MVP candidate. This was going to be a very positive article. Didn't want to talk about anything.
A reluctant superstar. The count is now full on Polanco.
In fact, quick funny line. I needed some help with the story because he wasn't giving me much. I dug up a phone number for his dad, and when I called the father, I said, I had the opportunity to interview your son today, and he said, but poor you.
Jack always digging though.
The father was great. The father was a comedian. He had one liner after the other, but Chase did not really want to talk about himself, and I imagine when the stuff is very serious now and it's about your career, you might be even more hesitant to talk.
Ball 4 as Polanco draws a walk, and inning continues. 3rd walk of the game handed out by Pineda. His pitch count is getting up there, 59 pitches, and we've got 2 outs at the top of the 3rd inning. Now, how about Pineda tonight, Jack? A little concern here, I'm sure, for Joe Girardi and Larry Rothschild, how things are shaping up against the Phillies tonight.
Right. Joe Girardi has said that the last start or two that each starter has, those are going to weigh more for him in his decisions than anything that happened earlier in the spring. And I think there's no secret they were hoping Pineda would come out here and be a lot sharper. He hasn't looked smooth. I mentioned some of the secondary stuff. I thought he threw a couple of good sliders earlier in the game, but David just mentioned it earlier, a couple of those times where Martin is setting up at different positions, and it just doesn't seem as if Pineda is being able to locate where they want him to go.
Good curveball and a swing and a miss by Wingington, who struck out his first time. So Pineda been working out of jams all night long.
Yeah, he took a little bit off of this curve. This is more of a curveball, as you see, at 79 miles an hour. Good spin, good location on that pitch.
This pitch is popped foul and out of play, and quickly Wingington is down 0-2. If you think Jack Curry is leaving after just a half an inning, no, he's coming back for the bottom half of the inning, folks. You want to stay tuned.
I just see every four-seam fastball that Pineda throws, he's getting around and he's getting cuts. Sort of a right-to-left cutting action on his fastball, which to me explains the velocity drop. You can't throw the ball 97 miles an hour when you're cutting it and you're around it.
How can you control that, get it under control outside for a ball?
It could be a grip issue. It could be an arm angle issue. Maybe he doesn't have the arm strength built up as of yet. Maybe he's just dropping his arm and getting around that four-seam fastball a little bit. You know, it's every pitch is cutting on him, though, when he's throwing his four-seam fastball.
Yeah, I've heard the term, you have to throw more downhill. What does that mean?
More downhill, and you've got to reach out there and get more extension. You've got to have the arm strength to be able to do that.
Ground ball to third. A-Rod has it. Throws a second, and it's a wide throw. All hands are safe. And it appeared that Polanco was going to be safe anyway. So the bases are loaded, and here comes Larry Rothschild, the Yankee pitching coach, to the mound. Cano took everything he had just to come up with a throw and keep it from going into right field.
Yeah, an outstanding play by Cano just to save this wide throw from getting by. You could see Rothschild trying to settle down Pineda. You know, hey, got a long inning going here. Let's give you a little break. Get back on top.
You know, those are the type of plays you get when you're struggling on the mound, but you're controlling, throwing pitch after pitch. The hitters kind of get back on their heels. They don't expect the ball to be hit, and all of a sudden it's coming in their direction. So now the Phillies have the bases loaded with 2 outs. And it'll bring up Carlos Ruiz, who doubled to the gap in left center field.
So Joe Girardi's really interested in what was said on the mound with his pitching coach there. And you can see Pineda's got a little bad body language tonight going. He's not happy with his location, not happy with the way this game's going a little bit. You kind of want to see a guy that's more aggressive with better presence on the mound.
Deals a strike over the outside corner. Now we had one subject that's going to take a little longer to talk about, so we want to save this one for the bottom half of the third inning. David, Jack, and I are going to talk about just the divisions in general and some of the teams throughout Major League Baseball who we think might be some surprises. So you want to stay tuned for that. Bottom half of the inning. There's a breaking ball. Curveball, it misses, and it's a ball and a strike. Pineda thought he had a strike. Somewhat of a rough outing for Michael Pineda. Phillies have 3 runs on 6 hits. And we're just in the third inning. He's also walked 3. Ball 2, 2-1.
Kenny, as we've talked about the rotation, and we will continue to talk about it, and it will be a story for the next several days. Joe Girardi said something today that I hadn't heard him say previously. See, Logan is up in the bullpen right now. You would think that if the Yankees make a decision and start the season with it, they would stick with that for a while. But Girardi said, listen, if we do something, it's not necessarily permanent. So that got me wondering, does a guy like Pineda need a little more seasoning down in Florida? Do they work with him a little? Does he miss one start? Does Garcia get the nod out? So there's just a lot going on, and it's dramatic. It's suspenseful, because in a team where the roster is virtually set, this is what everybody is focusing on. This is what everyone is wondering about. Who is going to be those last couple of starters in the rotation?
Behind on the count, 3 balls and a strike. And Ruiz might have helped him out there and fouled it off, and the count is now full. And also, guys, you have to remember that Andy Pettit's out there on the horizon somewhere. He'll be showing up, maybe in May. And that's going to make another decision for Joe Girardi and the Yankees.
And that one probably gets tougher. A month from now, it's even a tougher decision because you're going to have guys who have already pitched and have already accomplished things in 2012.
Runners go to 3-2 pitches fouled at the plate. We'll do it all over again.
Well, you know, it's very difficult on the Yankees to say if they were going to say to Pineda, we need to give you more time in the minor leagues, and you have options left. And even though we gave up our best prospect, Jesus Montero, the right thing for the organization might be for him to go to AAA. That's very difficult on the Yankees to make that decision. But if that's the right thing to do, then that's the decision that needs to be made. You have to protect this young man. He's still only 23 years old. He's got a bright future.
You want him to hit the mound during the regular season with a positive frame of mind. Here's the 3-2 pitch, and it's fouled off again by Ruiz.
You can't put this kid in a position to get buried in the Bronx his first few starts. You just can't do it, you know. And I'm not saying that's the decision, or maybe that's what the way they're leaning. But if you have any doubts about whether his arm strength is ready or not, then you can't take the chance to have him get buried in New York in his first few starts.
Just 23 years old, just turned 23.
I like his delivery, I like his stuff, but it just looks to me like maybe his arm strength isn't quite there. He's around his fastball quite a bit. Certainly tonight his location has been off.
Pitch is hit well in left field and deep. This is going to chase Gardner back. Running hard, he can't get it. The ball is up against the wall. All three runners are going to score. It's a base clearing double for Carlos Ruiz, and the Phillies now lead it 6-1. Ruiz's second double of the ball game, and that's going to bring Joe Girardi out of the dugout, and that's going to be it for Pineda. Roughed up for 4 runs here in the third inning, and 6 overall on 7 hits. And he's gone. So there's going to be a pitching change. Appears that Boone Logan will be in the ball game with 2 outs in the third. Not a good night for Michael Pineda. He leaves allowing 6 runs on 7 hits, a couple of strikeouts and 3 walks, and has just given up a bases clearing double to Carlos Ruiz. Now gives way to Boone Logan. Logan trying to pick up the 3rd out here in the top of the 3rd inning. He'll face the number 9 hitter Freddie Galvis, the second baseman, and Logan deals outside for ball 1. Those are the numbers on Logan from last year. Interesting debate about Michael Pineda and what are his chances of making the club, and how much have they been hurt by tonight's performance. Ball's hit in the air for Curtis Granderson in center field, who drifts back. makes the catch, and finally the Phillies are retired here in the top of the third. But they pick up 4 runs, and at the end of 2.5, they lead it 6-1. Hey fans, individual game tickets for the 2012 season at Yankee Stadium are now on sale at Yankees.com and through Ticketmaster. Get your tickets today to see the Yankees take on the rest of the American League, as well as some great interleague matchups. And you don't want to miss the 66th annual Old Timers Day on Sunday, July 1st. Purchase tickets, visit Yankees.com or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. Bottom of the third inning. There's Larry Rothschild talking it over. And that's all you can do right now. Michael Pineda. More work has to be done, that's for sure. And here comes manager Joe Girardi. Keep your chin up, kid. It's a long season. Top of the order for the Yankees, and they'll be facing a new Philadelphia Philly pitcher. In fact, a very new Philadelphia Philly pitcher, former Red Sox closer Jonathan Papelbon in the game to face Derek Jeter. And his first pitch is over the outside corner. Papelbon signing a big contract with the Phillies, who now become their closer.
It's like Ruben Amaro, the general managers for the Phillies, had a crystal ball, you know, with this Ryan Madson, the closer last year for the Phillies, coming up lame this spring with an elbow injury, Tommy John surgery. Papelbon signing looking even better.
Ryan Madson was supposed to be closing for the Cincinnati Reds. Here's Papelbon, what he had to say about the Phillies and Red Sox fans. Philadelphia fans tend to know the game a little better. What? Boston fans are a little more hysterical when it comes to the game of baseball. I wonder how that quote might have been banned in Boston, huh?
I think he did a little backpedaling after that quote, too, trying to clarify his comments.
Oh, 1-1 pitch on the way to the Yankee captain, and it's a sinker swung on and missed, and it's 1-2. Well, the Red Sox do play the Phillies this year in interleague play. I'm not sure where that series is going to be played. That's going to be played in Philadelphia. So he does not have to worry about bringing that quote with him to Fenway Park. A 1-2 pitch, and Jeter checks his swing and fouls it off. Jack Curry's with David and myself here at the bottom of the third, and we were going to talk about teams that we thought might surprise a bit this year, and we'll do the honors. Let Jack have the honors and go first. Jack, how about the American League and International?
I'm going to start in the American League with the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are a team that you look at what they've done over the last several years, and they kind of get pushed aside because the Yankees, the Rays, and the Red Sox dominate that division. But this is a team in its last 6 seasons, they've had a better than 500 record 5 times. And that may not sound like much, but when you're playing the Yankees, the Rays, and the Red Sox, and as good as they have been, that means a lot to me. And I just look at the maturing of their rotation. Romero, Morrow, Cecil, even a guy like McGowan. And then I look at Laurie and Rasmus and Arancibia. I like the young players they've assembled.
A veteran player just got a base hit. The captain, Derek Jeter, with a single to center field. And he's aboard. I like Laurie, too. I think he's going to be a superstar at third base. We saw him in a home run here against the Yankees to the opposite field at the Steinbrenner Field.
But even after saying all of that, they could end up being an 88 to 90 win team, and that might not be good enough in the American League to get you that first or second wild card. So I do see them as a team on the rise. I just don't see them as a team that maybe is ready to leapfrog to the top 2 spots in the AL East.
They have a new closer, too, in Sergio Santos, who came over from the White Sox, and man, he throws hard.
I'm surprised the White Sox made that deal.
Yeah,
I didn't get that at all. Santos was on a very good contract. That's the type of guy you try and keep, not the type of guy you try and trade.
Well, you know, my pick, obviously, I don't know if they're that big of a surprise. And a lot of people have been talking about them coming for years, but I think the Kansas City Royals this year are going to make some big strides. And
that's my pick, too.
I kind of thought, you know, Kenny was thinking along those lines. You know, my second, you know, not necessarily, you know, when you talk about, you know, teams that are going to be the surprise teams, maybe not a playoff contending team, but a much improved team. I think Baltimore is going to surprise some people with a much better record than they had last year. They have nowhere to go but up. Their pitching was the worst across the board in the league, you know, head and shoulders. And so I think Baltimore's a sleeper, but obviously KC Soria is out for the season.
That's going to hurt.
That hurts. They do have Jonathan Broxton that they got from the Dodgers, who's doing pretty well this spring. Hosmer's a legitimate potential superstar, and Alex Gordon really came into his own last year.
Granderson takes a pitch for a strike, and it's now 3-1. I think once they moved Alex Gordon to left field and got away from him being the next George Brett at third base, that's when he started to come into his own. And he had a really good year last year. It was his breakout season, and I expect him to be even better.
Signed a 4-year contract extension today.
His ball is hit well to right center field. Going back his pitch, looks up. This one is gone. A home run for Curtis Granderson, and it's now a 6-3 ball game. Granderson's second home run of the spring, and that one was tagged. Off the former closer of the Red Sox, Jonathan Papelbon.
And Granderson just keeps on keeping on, up and out over the plate, short and quick. Look at the foot's down, hangs onto the bat now, quick to the ball. And the only question now is whether there's going to be a windshield out on Dale Mabry going by.
So now it's a 6-3 ball game, and Robinson Cano's at the plate. Little chopper foul. Any of those teams in the American League that I think the other teams you expect to be in the races. You talk about the Angels and the Rangers. I think Detroit has the Central Division kind of wrapped up, but I do agree that the Kansas City Royals are going to be a better club if they get any type of pitching.
I'm going to try and debate you guys on the Royals, and I agree that I like Moustakas and Hosmer and those guys, but they are going, their #1 pitcher, I guess, would be Bruce Chen right now, or Hoshaver. I mean,
it's about pitchers.
Yeah, and those guys don't really do it for me. So I think until they get some pitchers, some younger guys who come up and can sort of help them in a better way than those guys will, I'm still wondering about the Royals.
Well, let's jump over to the National League then. You have any National League teams you feel is going to surprise some people this year, Jack?
Well, Kenny, I'm not going to lie that you and I talked on the field a little bit.
Yeah,
so we're going to be in alignment on the Washington Nationals. Okay. I think the Nationals are a team. They already, as you mentioned, 10, 11, 12 games better from last year, from 10 to 11. They got Gio Gonzalez. They signed Edwin Jackson because nobody else would. He was out there waiting. Strasburg is back. Jordan Zimmerman. I like their rotation. Brad Lidge is a piece in the bullpen now. Storm will be the closer.
Cano rips one towards the corner. Pence is over there quickly to cut it off. But it's the third straight hit for the Yankees off Papelbon as Cano singles around. Yeah, I like them too. I think I like their third baseman, Brian Zimmerman. I think he's the type of guy who could lead a club in the potential MVP. And look at the rotation, John Lannon. Chin-Ming Wong also in competition. He came up with a hamstring problem this spring, and it kind of set him back a little bit. But the former Yankee was throwing the ball well when he got injured. So a good starting staff. And I don't think the other teams in the National League East are taking those guys lightly.
How long can they hold Bryce Harper down? You know, the young phenom. It's a matter of time before he's up as well.
If Kansas City had that staff, I'd be with you guys.
Pitches inside to A-Rod. Yankees trying to fight back here in the bottom of the third inning. They trail 6-3. A-Rod checks his swing but takes a pitch for a call strike. Now I've got a question for you. Now that the Dodgers ownership has been somewhat straightened out, I mean, with the Magic Johnson's group taking over, do you think that's going to infuse some enthusiasm in the Dodgers out in the National League West?
No, there's no doubt. I mean, there was Bill Plaschke for the LA Times. I thought he had a great line in one of his columns. He said the most, I'm not going to quote it 100%, but it was something like the most enduring sports franchise in Los Angeles now has its most enduring athlete ever there to help guide things along. And I just think Magic Johnson's presence, he says he's going to have an office, he's going to be there every day. And just imagine how uncertain those players have been for the last couple of seasons. Now they know. They have a direction. They don't have to answer questions about that. I'm sure there'll be money put into the organization to go out and get players. They couldn't have done that in the past. I definitely look for there to be a rebirth around the Dodgers. And when you thought the Angels had kind of stolen the LA Thunder, look at what is happening with the Dodgers now.
I like Magic's quotes, though, as far as deferring to Stan Kasten, who's going to be the president of the club. He says he's the longtime baseball man. He knows the players and who we should get as A-Rod swings and misses and strikes out on a 2-2 pitch as Papelbon blows it by for the first out here in the bottom of the third. So it's not like Magic, you know, his magic is in basketball, not in baseball.
I will say this, there's no doubt they're not going to ask Magic as we take one more look at this. They're not going to ask Magic, should we go get this reliever or this pitcher, but with all due respect to Stan Kasten, who I've interviewed a bunch of times, if Stan Kasten's behind the batting cage and Magic is behind the batting cage and there are 100 reporters, I think about 90 of them are going to probably move over towards Magic and want to talk to him.
Well, you know what? If the Magic's making decisions, you know the Dodgers are going to end up with a lot of tall baseball players. Now that pitcher was coming out. Kendrick was coming, thought he was coming in the ball game. But Rich Doobie went out to the mound and left Papelbon in the game. So this is kind of an embarrassing situation for the tall right-hander as he is not officially in the game. He's going to come in favorite probably a little later on. Right now he's going to take a seat in the dugout.
That's a fine in kangaroo court.
Yeah.
That's a 5-yard penalty in football.
Too many men on the field. Chavez swings and misses for strike one.
Well, you know, my sleeper in the National League, you know, maybe not quite a sleeper, but a surprise. You know, I really think the Mets are going to be better than anticipated. They've been dogged so hard. I think finally, you know, the whole off-the-field situation with the ownership and the Madoff financial mess is now behind them. Johan Santana has looked good this spring. They're getting their #1 starter back. I think some of their offensive players are going to be better. I think Jason Bay is going to come back.
They moved into fences.
David Wright, they did move in the fences at Citi Field. I think the Mets are going to be a surprise team. Now, whether that's good enough to get to the playoffs or not, I don't know. But I think they will be better than advertised.
Well, one of the things what happens when you move into fences, it also helps the other hitters on the other teams. Pitches grounded foul. They come in with renewed enthusiasm.
I think Duda is an emerging star there. Ike Davis is a strong young player. We don't know what David Wright's future there is, if he's a guy they end up trading. The thing that would concern me from their spring training is, yes, Santana was very good, but Pelfrey, a guy that they really need to rely on, has had a terrible spring.
In fact, I think I read online this morning there was some feeling during meetings that they would just release it.
There was a story in the Daily News that said it was at least talked about. It was thrown around at a meeting, which obviously would have saved them some money if they did that, but they decided against it.
Well, somebody would jump on him in a hurry. No balls and 2 strikes on Eric Chavez. Cano's at first with 1 out, and it's a swing and a miss, and now there's 2 outs. So Papelbon has bounced back after giving up a single, a home run, and another single to strike out Rodriguez and Chavez. Now there's 2 down.
Well, Papelbon, even though he's got knocked around a little bit here, his velocity's been fine. He's made enough good pitches. He's got his work in.
Here's Russell Martin, who drew a walk in the 2nd inning. I just think it's going to be a fine year of baseball once again. I can't wait for the regular season to start. Spring training games get old after a while. This is about the time of spring training when I was thinking, what am I doing up here? You know, but it's interesting because I said the same thing to Derek Jeter before the game. I said, Derek, how many hits do you need down here? He said, every time up. So he wasn't quite ready. He said, a few more games and I'll be ready to go. There's a swing and a miss.
I overheard that conversation, Kenny, and I was surprised by his answer because you're right. Guys get to this point and you think that guys are ready to just kind of move on to the season. But he basically said, yeah, every time up I'm looking to get a hit. And I guess he's not ready to be right there yet. Or if he thinks he's going to hit 1,000, one or the other.
It would be a first if he does it this year. Pitch is fouled off by Martin. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes. So, Jack, we've covered a litany of subjects in tonight's inning with Jack Curry here. Is there anything else you want to throw at us, Jack?
We got the surprise teams in.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking around baseball, I mean, like you said, I like the Tigers in the Central. I think Texas and the Angels, there's a new dynamic in the American League because it was Yankees, Red Sox for so long. But you look at the Rangers and the Angels in the West now. Really looking forward to what is going to transpire this year. And I'm a fan of the second wild card. I like the idea of giving more teams a chance. And I like that it makes the division more important. I didn't like the fact that teams could kind of coast that last week or 10 days if you had a lead. You have to want to have that division title now.
No, Papelbon, he was on the mound and gave up the hit to Robert Andino that knocked the Red Sox out of the playoff picture last year. That turned out to be his last pitch as a member of the Boston Red Sox. Now he gets to turn over a new leaf here with the Philadelphia Phillies, another strong team, and he's going to be closing for some big-time starters. Sinker is low, and the count is run full at 3-2.
And he was smart to sign that contract for a number of reasons. But if we saw as we saw the rest of the offseason unfold, and a lot of closers waiting for jobs and guys ending up getting one-year deals. David mentioned Madsen, who ended up getting a one-year $8 million deal. It was a very nice deal that Papelbon signed, 4 years, $50 million.
Runners on the move. The 3-2 pitch is fouled off. And in fact, didn't Madsen have like a 3-year deal done with the Phillies? But then all of a sudden, Papelbon came in the picture, and that deal was off the table.
I think that's a he said thing. The Phillies are saying, Ruben Amaro was saying no. Madsen's people were saying yes. But obviously there wasn't a signed contract, or there would have been a grievance filed. David, you help me on that? Wouldn't there have been some sort of argument over it? Yeah.
It was obviously not a done deal.
Ball 4. The inning continues, and the Yankees have the tying run at the plate. Papelbon walks Russell Martin on a 3-2 pitch, and I believe this time he might be coming out of the game. This is it. Yeah, it's the second trip to the mound. He's got to come out. Where's Kyle Kendrick? Is he in the dugout? No. This time he's going to come into the ball game. We'll be back with more here in the bottom of the third. It's a 6-3 game. Stay tuned. Later tonight, the Nets kick off the first game of a 4-game West Coast swing when they take on the Golden State Warriors. Nets pregame coverage starts tonight after the game at 10. Then Ian Eagle and Mike Fratello have the call. It's only on Yes. On the bottom of the third inning continues, and Kyle Kendrick indeed is in the ballgame now. But he's in there with 2 men on and 2 outs. He will face Andrew Jones. Now, Jack Curry's with us, David Cohn and myself. And Jack, you've been in spring training longer than anybody else with the Yes group. Are you ready for the regular season to start?
I am ready for the regular season to start. I am ready to get into the studio and team up with Bob Lorenz and Jared Boschnack and do our work from in the studio. I love spring training, though. I think spring training, from a reporting standpoint, that's like if you're going to run a marathon, that's your road work. You get a base for the rest of the season. You talk to guys.
Ball gets away. The runners are going to move up. Cano goes to third. Russell Martin goes to second. That should be a pass ball. Looked like Ruiz should have had that one.
Ruiz is setting up down the middle of the plate, and almost looks like he just either got distracted. I don't think it was a cross-up, but just off the web of the glove.
Yeah, that's a pass ball. 2 balls and no strikes now on Andrew Jones. But you're ready to go back home, aren't you, Jack?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely ready to go. Florida is great, but home is home.
Ball grounded foul. I mean, it's a chance to cut the winner short with what winner there was this year.
It seems like it's just so much more intimate in spring training, especially for not only the fans here at Legends Field. You get closer to the players, more interaction. I'm sure that's the same for the media as well.
It absolutely is. And I mean, I had a 10-minute conversation with Mark Teixeira about the Tampa Bay Rays today, which is stuff that I'll use in April. I'll use all year long, just his perspective on their rotation. And sometimes you go to Yankee Stadium and it's not as easy to maybe grab those guys. And that's why I do think spring training is very important. And as you said, for fans, this is the time to go. I always tell fans that go to spring training. You'll get much closer to the players and see a lot of things you might not have the chance to see once the team heads north.
You'll get more autographs as Andrew Jones walks. And the Yankees reload the bases. Rich Dubie's pen is going to run out of ink this inning.
Right fielder.
Kendrick walks the first man he faces. And Justin Maxwell will come up with the bases loaded.
Number 64.
Justin Maxwell up with the bases loaded. He swings and misses strike 1. Yankees have come up with 2 runs here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Now 6-3 as Maxwell hits one in the left field for a base hit. Cano scores. Here comes Martin. The throw to the plate will not be in time, and it's now a 6-5 game as Justin Maxwell continues to impress this spring. He now has 3 runs batted in tonight and 11 during spring training.
Well, he looks like a big leaguer, and he's been aggressive, jumping on that inside pitch. But very impressive, just his approach at the plate. He's not overmatched at all. He looks like he belongs.
You know what? He's in a good position. He's out of options. The Yankees are going to have to keep him. And if they try and send him out, the way he's been playing this spring, and there's some teams looking for some outfielders. Here's Brett Gardner. Tying runs at second. Swings at the first pitch. Grounded. Foul. Down the first base side. There are only 3 umpires tonight, so the home plate umpire had to make the call. And that is Mark Wegner. So Wegner made the call, and Gardner has to come back. When Gardner got down to first, it appeared he was looking for an umpire. But the other umpires are stationed at second and third. It's interesting. Those are like minor league crews, only 3 umpires. Yankees have batted around here in the 3rd inning. Foul ball, and the count quickly goes to 0-2. There is Derek Jeter, who led the inning off with a single and eventually scored on the home run by Curtis Granderson. Low and inside for ball one.
You know, the way Derek Jeter thinks, he's probably thinking 3,500, 4,000 hits now that he's by 3,000. You know, his attitude's always been, hey, wants to get a hit every time up, always interacting with the fans. Right there, Jack, talking about the intimacy of spring training. Derek's very consistent with that. But I guarantee you, in his mind, he's thinking 4,000 hits now.
2-2 to Gardner.
David had the chance to interview him last year, maybe 10 or 12 days before he got 3,000. And I knew if I said 4,000 that he'd probably shoot me down. So I said to him, is 3,500 on the radar for you? Do you think 3,500 is a place that you could get? And he didn't say no. But I think you're absolutely right. Jeter is a guy who he's just going to keep piling them up. And then when it's over, he'll lift his head up and say, okay, I'm at this number.
Foul ball, and that's going to reach the seats.
Well, that's been the beauty of Jeter his whole career, the captain. I mean, it's about today. It's about the team. It's always team first. It's always about what you got to do today, at bat to at bat.
You know, maybe one reason he didn't answer Jack is because it's team first with him. He didn't want to put a number out there that would shine the spotlight on him. Yankees with 2 on and 2 outs. They've scored 4 times. It's now a 6-5 ball game. It's been wide open. Pitchers have struggled here tonight. Inside, the count is run full at 3-2. Phillies scored 4 in the top of the third. The Yankees have answered with 4 of their own here in the bottom half of the inning. The runners will be going. Jones from second and Maxwell from first on this 3-2 pitch to Brett Gardner.
Jack, you might as well do the rest of the game. You've been up here so long.
Yeah. He's been in this inning as long as he's been here all spring.
This is payback for those 1, 2, 3 innings.
Here's the payoff pitch, and it's foul tip. We'll do it all over again. The runners have to return. Jones will head back to second. Maxwell will head back to first. There's one guy that's happy. Kevin Long, the hitting coach. Payoff pitch once again. Runners go, and it's hit on the ground to first. Wigginton has it. And the Yankees bat around, but they score 4 times. The first 2 runs coming on the home run by Curtis Granderson to deep right center field. It's a 6-5 game as we head to the 4th. Next Friday afternoon, the quest for 28 begins in St. Petersburg, where the Yankees kick off the 2012 season against division rival Rays. Join the YES Network for complete team coverage of all the opening day pageantry, including the lineups and the first pitch from Tropicana Field. 2012 regular season starts next Friday at 2. Right here at YES, and we can't wait. New pitcher for the Yankees is Corey Wade. Jack Curry's here with us. We're going to get into some other topics here. You know, we picked the surprise teams. We might as well keep on going. You got any picks for the MVP? There's the bunt. A-Rod's throw, and the play is made as he throws out Juan Pierre. One down.
I'm going with A-Rod as the MVP based on that play right there. If we're going to see a replay here, Pierre is a guy, and Kenny, you and I have talked about, this is a guy who's always out there. He's always laying those bunts down. This is a beautiful bunt, but this is a better play.
Yeah.
And Chavez, too, able to slap the tag on Pierre there.
A-Rod guarding against the bunt was in on the grass, and Pierre is out number 1. So, David, you want to go first?
Yes, I will. You know, I really think that the guy for me who's been the best offensive player in the American League has been Miguel Cabrera.
Okay.
For the last several years, 3, 4, 5 years, I think offensively, sabermetrics, inside numbers, he's been the best offensive player. I think his move to third base, really admirable the way he's handled it. He's my pick to be the MVP this year.
Jack?
I'm going to go with the guy who had been the best player in the National League for the longest of time and then now is in the American League. I know I'm not going out on a limb here, but I'm going to pick Pujols. I'm going to think that he has a very big year with the Angels to start things off.
Victorino has a base hit. Now, if he has a big year, sometimes there's what they did last year. It's somewhat of an off year for Pujols, not getting 100 runs right on the doorstep, but didn't get it. The feeling is that sometimes when a player jumps league, he doesn't get the support he should in the MVP ballot. Although you go back years ago, and it was kind of hard not to vote for Frank Robinson because he won the Triple Crown when he came over from the National League to the American League. And Pujols is quite capable of putting up Triple Crown type numbers. Here's Jimmy Rollins. And Cabrera changing positions might affect him. You know, he's worried more about playing third base, which has already been difficult. He got hit in the eye with a ground ball this spring.
And if we have other guys that we could throw out there, Kenny, there's a guy playing right behind Corey Wade at second base right now. Robinson Cano was winging MVP at some point in his career. It might not be 2012, but I mean, this guy, he's the best player on the Yankees right now. We think about A-Rod and we think about Jeter and Rivera, and sometimes those names pop to the forefront first, but he's their best offensive player, their best defensive player. He will win an MVP at some point.
Good stop by Russell Martin. I have the same feeling, but for me, I feel for a Yankee to win, and my pick is Cano as well. I kind of feel that he's got a chance, but for him to win it, he really kind of has to blow everybody else away, because I think there is a bias among some of the writers around the league. They're not going to vote for a Yankee if they can help it. So I think that he's really going to have one of those years where he hits around 340 and he hits close to 30 home runs or maybe more and drives in 120 something runs. And it's something that he's capable of doing. See, A-Rod's won it twice as a Yankee, but he really bombed the opposition. They had no chance of beating him in the MVP. And especially if the Yankees go on to win. That pitch is fouled off by Rollins, and the count holds it 2-2.
If Cano gets those kind of numbers, though, especially doing it as a second baseman, and then he has one of those sparkling defensive years where you're saying, what? He's made 3 errors the whole year? That kind of thing. But you're right. Sometimes when you're playing on a team that's filled with so many good players, it's very easy for some writers to make the argument of, well, they won 97 games. What would they have won without him? 92, et cetera, et cetera.
Good stop by Chavez. Steps on second. Now they have the run of Victorino on a rundown. And he is tagged out by Derek Jeter. So a double play to end the inning. And some pleasantries between Victorino and Jeter. So the Phillies are retired here in the top of the fourth. We played 3.5. It's a 6-5 ball game. Hey, no harm, no foul. We'll be right back with the bottom half of the fourth inning. Tonight's game on Yankees is brought to you in part by Cadillac. Visit CadillacTristate.com to find a dealer near you. By 5-Hour Energy, when you gotta get stuff done. And by the really big sales event. Real deals, big inventory, now at your Honda dealer. Derek Jeter's going to lead it off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Takes a pitch up high for ball 1. So we've covered our MVPs. Now let's move to the pitching side. And of course that means David has to go first. And how about the American League Cy Young?
Well, I use sort of the same criteria that I use for my MVP pick. Jeter with another hit.
Hey, maybe he's going to hit 1,000 this year.
Right back up the middle. Nice range by the young second baseman.
For the Yankees, the center fielder, number 14.
So my pick, same as I said with Miguel Cabrera, I think I give great credence to a guy who's year in and year out all over that award, and he hasn't won it yet. I think Cabrera over the last 4 or 5 years has been all over the MVP award and fallen just short. I think the guy is Sabathia. CC Sabathia, year in and year out, is always all over the Cy Young Award. Around 20 games. I think this is the year he finally breaks through and gets it.
You mean he's going to beat out Verlander, who was so dominant last year, not only won the Cy Young, but won the MVP?
I think it's going to be hard for Verlander to match those numbers that he did last year. I think there's going to be a little bit of a regression back to his normal average, which is still very good for Verlander. But I think this is Sabathia's year.
Now, Verlander had some outstanding numbers, 24 wins, ERA. You could see just dominant. First 24-game winner in Major League Baseball since Randy Johnson in 2002. You think those numbers are going to slide a bit, even though the Tigers will probably win the division? That
was just a remarkable career year for Verlander, and I think he will be dominant once again, but I think it's going to be very hard for him to do that again.
Could it be because of the workload that he had last year?
Workload and just the law of averages. You know, it's just, he's already, well established, and you know what his mean is or what his average year is, which is outstanding. But I think he was just, a cut above, just a special year last year that is just hard to duplicate it in back-to-back years.
Jack?
I love David's argument about Sabathia, because if you go back to last year, probably the first 3+ months of the season, Sabathia was right there with Verlander. It was August and September where CeCe's numbers became subpar. But all of that being said, I'm going with Verlander, because I think even if there is a regression, we saw those numbers, and those numbers are sick numbers in the American League to pitch the way that he did. So even if he wins 22 and the ERA goes slightly up, I mean, his whip was under 1. If the whip goes to 1.06 or something like that, I still like what Verlander does. I like that this guy goes out there and has confidence in so many of his pitches, and he attacks. He pitches with a swagger. He basically goes out there and says, I'm getting you out, and it's just a matter of time before you're in the dugout. So he would be my choice.
I agree with those two guys as being definite candidates. If you're going to go, they're two of my top 3, though. And my guy that I'm going to pick this year to win the Cy Young is way out west. I'm going with Jared Weaver of the Angels. I think that here's a guy who's starting to come into his own. And not that the other two couldn't win and pass him. I think they could. But I think Jared Weaver definitely is going to be in the mix for the Cy Young Award this year.
Can we give Mark Teixeira a vote? Because when I spoke to him today, he threw James Shields in the mix, and we see Granderson is being replaced here. He said Shields is a guy, he said if the Rays would score more runs and it would boost his win total, which I know isn't what everybody always focuses on, but a lot of times with starting pitchers, you do look at that win total. He said Shields is a guy who he puts right in that mix. Top 5 pitcher in the American League.
Well, a couple of years ago, King Felix won in Seattle. He only won 13 games, and he had a record of 13-12. So I guess there's all kinds of ways of winning this award.
It's a great pick, James Shields. I mean, he had more complete games than most teams, entire teams did. James complete game Shields.
Cano's at the plate with 2 runners on and nobody out. Look out, it's inside, a ball and a strike. This has been one of those nights where the hitters are punishing the pitchers. I know it's hard for you to watch, David.
Yeah, it is. You got to look away. I tell you, if you're in the dugout, you might look down on the bench and send all the extra pitchers home right now. Just go on home, get out of here, take a shower.
Cano hits a high towering fly ball in the left field that has Juan Pierre on the move near the warning track. Tagging up is Derek Jeter. He's going to attempt to make it to third. The throw is not in time. Heads-up base running by the Yankee captain, and now the Yankees have the tying run at third with 1 out. I think he knows that Juan Pierre does not have a strong throwing arm.
One thing about Jeter, when you talk about his abilities, it's always about smarts. And you're right, Kenny. They don't play the Phillies that much, but he knows Juan Pierre from his American League days. He's backing up on the ball. He's retreating. There's no way he's going to be able to throw Jeter out as he's retreating on that ball.
So first and third with 1 out, Alex Rodriguez had come to the plate. He didn't catch it in the. You're supposed to get back and have some momentum going towards your throw, but that wasn't the case. A-Rod with a chance to tie the game up. He hits a ground ball to the right side, and it is going to be caught by Galvis, and throws the pitcher covering. But on the play, Jeter will score, and it's a 6-6 ball game. A-Rod almost snuck it through the right side. Galvis showing some range on the right side of the infield. Give A-Rod a run batted in.
Galvis has covered some ground up the middle earlier in the inning, and this one too. And that's what you do if you're a pitcher. You break right away and you get there and hope that Galvis is going to make the play, and he does.
So now there are 2 outs.
Galvis had to sort of reroute too.
And Chris Dickerson, who's running for Granderson, is in second.
The Phillies pitchers are going to love that, even though Chase Utley is out with injuries and it's uncertain when he's going to come back. Well, you got a kid at second base that's going to catch the ball.
Eric Chavez swings at the first pitch, fouls it off. We now have a 6-6 ball game. The Yankees were down 6-1 at one point, and now have rallied to tie.
When the Phillies were still negotiating with Rollins and it wasn't a definite that he was going to come back, Galvis's name was coming up a lot because he played about 30 games at Lehigh Valley last year at shortstop. And David, you're right about that range. He really covers a lot of ground out there.
Inside for a ball.
Voted the best prospect or the best minor leaguer in the Phillies organization last year.
Phillies have gotten caught short, you know, with all the injuries. Obviously, Utley headlining that list, and I think Ruben Amaro almost said that he kind of regretted letting Wilson Valdez go in the offseason. Another middle infielder that could have given them some depth.
That pitch is high for a ball, and it's 2-1. So you have any thoughts on National League MVP?
Wow.
Yeah, we have to dig a little deeper here.
You do have to dig a little deeper in the National League. You know, can you go back to back? You know, you look at Matt Kemp and the numbers he had last year, really coming into his own. It's hard to go back to back. Once again, he had sort of a career year, and you know, it's tough to go against Kemp, but you know, I would dig a little deeper. I think you know. Give me a minute to dig a little deeper, Jimmy. I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, we talk about so much about American League. We don't think quite as much about the National. You got Joey Votto in Cincinnati, good player.
I got one for you. I'm going Troy Tulowitzki. That's my guy because, again, he plays a commanding position on the field at shortstop. And if I see a shortstop put up the kind of numbers that he has put up, now again, the Rockies have to win because you can't go 30, 120 and hit 290 and your team wins 85 games. That's not going to get it done. We saw how Braun beat out Kemp last year. But I'm going to go with Tulowitzki.
Good call. Pitch is fouled back, and the count is full at 3-2. Look at Tulos. 7th overall pick in 2005 by the Rockies. Rookie of the Year runner-up to Ryan Braun in 2007. 2-time All-Star, 2 Gold Gloves. Wears number 2 in honor of Derek Jeter. And also has signed a long-term, like a lifetime contract with the Colorado Rockies. Like, what is it, 10, 15-year deal?
He had a few years left on his deal, Kenny, and I think they re-upped him for 10 more.
There's a base hit in the right field. Dickerson rounding third. And he scores, and the Yankees take a 7-6 lead. Eric Chavez with a 2-out single. But Dickerson can run, can he? Man, he motored in from second base. So the Yankees have come all the way back
number 55.
from a 6-1 deficit, now lead 7-6.
Well, what a luxury for the Yankees to have Eric Chavez, a Gold Glove defender, to back up Alex at third, and just a legitimate bat. I mean, he still swings it. He still has that bat speed. Still very much of a threat in the batter's box.
Here's Russell Martin, who has walked twice and scored a run, and he takes a pitch outside for a ball. Did I make a pitch? I don't think so.
Not yet.
You know, I have the feeling I like what Matt Kemp did last year. I mean, he was just awesome for the Dodgers. And I'm going to go with the guy who finished second last year. He finished second to Ryan Braun. I think that he's going to have the type. I think Braun is going to miss Prince Fielder batting behind him. So I think that with the fact that he finished second gives him some momentum going into this year, and maybe playing with a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder to have a. I'm not going to say he's having an even better year, but I think he's going to have a year where he's going to get the MVP.
He's talked about wanting to go 50-50. So if he does that, I think you're going to be all right, Kenny. If he goes 50-50, he's a guy, still a young player. He's looking for that kind of Tulowitzki contract that we've talked about, and that's a good choice. I mean, there's some good choices in the NL.
Martin will chop it towards third. Going to be a tough play. It's a foul ball for Polanco.
You know, Jack, things have changed so much with the voting and the writers. So much emphasis on defense now, and you know, sabermetrics and WAR and a lot of the new stats for measuring productivity on the defensive side of the ball. So I think we saw that, Kenny, as you mentioned, with King Felix with the 13 wins, and people looked at the inside numbers and ended up voting him in based on sabermetrics and mathematics.
See, here's my deal with that. He won. He was 13-12 that year. There was a game he was losing to the Yankees, and I think Jabba Chamberlain gave up a grand slam home run to Jose Lopez, and he ended up getting a no decision or maybe even the win in that game. Would he have won the Cy Young with a losing record at 12-13, even with all those numbers? As Russell Martin gets a base hit, he's now 1 for 1. The Yankees bats have come alive here tonight.
It's a great question, Kenny, and David is right. That was a bit of a watershed moment in the voting for Felix Hernandez to have won that award. Lincecum had won it with 16 wins, but to win it with 13 victories, but you look at every other statistic and what he did that year. I mean, 6 or 7 other statistics where he was first or second. Just amazing numbers.
So it's not so much just the wins, because it used to be if you had the most wins, you were almost guaranteed a chance to win the Cy Young. Here's a pitch to Andrew Jones that misses for a ball.
I think my point, Jack, and my question to you would be is if you could go back and revisit, say, 20 years ago, some the same races, the MVP voting, the Cy Young voting, I think you'd have different outcomes based on the criteria that the writers and especially the ones with the votes, obviously, use nowadays.
I think you're right. I don't have an example in front of me, but Kenny's right. I remember in the 70s. This guy won 24 games. He's winning it. Even if his ERA is 3.6 and there was a guy who won 17 and his ERA was 2.8 and his strikeout to walk ratio was better. Those statistics and those type of things weren't as prominent 20, 30 years ago.
Line drive by Andrew Jones is going to score Eric Chavez, heading to third, and being thrown out for the final out of the inning is Russell Martin. Well, the Yankees do pick up a run, and on the play, the final out came after the run scored. So the Yankees now have the lead 8-6 over the Philadelphia Phillies as we head to the 5th inning. As we go to the top of the 5th, I'm going to have to clarify something that happened in the bottom half of the 4th inning. I thought the run counted. I thought home plate umpire Mark Wigner said it counted. Instead, the run does not count. Russell Martin was thrown out before Eric Chavez crossed home plate on our outage scoreboard. It's the Yankees 7 and the Philadelphia Phillies 6. And now joining us, Joe Girardi from the Yankee dugout, the Yankee manager. And Joe's kind of been a wide open game tonight.
Yes, it has. A lot of runs, a lot of base hits, and some miscues. And, here we go. We got a football score.
Let's start with your starting pitcher tonight. It was kind of a rough night for Michael Pineda. I saw you go down and talk to the youngster. What'd you have to say to him, Joe?
I mean, you got to keep your head up. I mean, you just got to keep working at it. And, it seemed to me that he didn't really have a lot of location on his fastball tonight. And they hit him. I mean, the Phillies are a team that's dangerous, and they hit him.
Yeah, number one, it seemed he was falling behind on counts and then had to come in with pitchers that were much too good.
Yeah, he didn't get to use his slider and his changeup a lot tonight. He was behind in the count, and they made him pay.
Joe, it looked to me like he's getting around his four-seamer a lot. Like every four-seamer seemed to cut on him. I don't know if that's something he's working on or.
No.
I mean, it looked like, maybe he's getting around that four-seamer, and that every one seemed to cut and lose his location.
Yeah, at times he'll throw some fastballs that cut, but not like he did tonight. I mean, it seemed like every one cut. I mean, that's what Russell told me was happening as well. And, he was just really off tonight.
Joe, he obviously came in, a lot of scrutiny on him this spring training. You've answered so many questions about him. What's next for Michael? Will we see him again in 5 days? He's going to split that start with Freddie, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to talk about what's next for him and how we do it.
In the air to left center field on the run is Dickerson, and lays out and comes up with it. What a catch by Chris Dickerson.
Wow, great play by Dickerson. Great jump. Got Grandy out just in time. I don't want Grandy diving like that.
Well, Dickerson showed great speed scoring from second base on that base hit, but even more so here, Joe, as we look at it again. Lays out, holds on to it like a wide receiver.
Yeah, he is extremely athletic, and one of the things that he can do is he can play every position. He can play left, center, and right because of his athleticism. He's got great speed.
So an excellent play leading off the top of the 5th inning. There's one down to bring up Hunter Pence.
That's what I'm saying if I'm on the mound. Wow, look about Corey Wade. He got a mouthful of grass out there, too.
It's probably pretty dry as it's been here this spring, too.
So is this next side session for Pineda? It's pretty important. I'm sure everybody's going to be watching closely.
I mean, obviously, we have talked about we have to make some decisions, and we have to make them fairly quickly here. And, we've been through our rotation a number of times, and we'll have to see what we're going to do next.
Well, there's a lot to like there. I mean, I like his delivery. We didn't get a chance to see a lot of his secondary pitches, but I think, there's something mechanical there that needs to be worked out. When we saw him throw last year in Seattle, he was really true and straight with that four-seamer, and that's how your velocity gets up. And, I think that probably explains maybe a little bit of the velocity dip, maybe just getting around that thing just a little bit.
Yeah, getting around the baseball. I mean, you know better than anything, Coney. I mean, mechanics are so important in everything that you do. Location, your velocity.
Another fly ball. This time Derek Jeter retreats to short left center field. Was he called off or not? The ball falls in, and Hunter Pence is going to hustle to second with a double. Miscommunication between the shortstop and the left fielder, something you don't see very often.
No, and it's something that shouldn't happen because they've played enough together. But it does. I mean, when you're in this game long enough, you're going to see things that are going to surprise you from time to time.
We look at it again, and the ball fell equidistant between the two. I believe either one of them could have made the play.
Joe, one last thing on Pineda. We're just watching a replay of the ball falling between Brett and Derek there. I know that you've answered a ton of questions about this. I think he had some 94s. Do you think that the questions about the velocity or the talk about the velocity are impacting him? Because I know you've mentioned multiple times, hey, guys can get people out when they're pitching in the low 90s, 92, 93. Do you think it's impacting him at all?
Oh, I think it could, because he is a young man, and, he's not a guy that's been through the big leagues and has had to make adjustments, during the course of years, and has had to deal with different things. I mean, he's been in the big leagues 1 year. He's very young, and it could have affected him. It well could have.
How about the effect of the trade itself, coming over to a new team, trying to impress right away?
Yeah, and that's probably somewhat a great block by Russell. You know, I mean, it can be shocking. I mean, there's been a lot that has happened to this young man in a short period of time. And, you know, this game, we know that you got to learn how to handle things, and you got to learn how to handle adversity and get back up, is because you're going to go through it. Everyone's going to go through it.
Speaking of handling adversity, your team was down 6-1 tonight. They fought back, and you must be happy with the way the bats are going.
Yeah, I am. We've had some miscues in the field, though, that cost us a bunch of runs tonight.
Including this one right here, as the Penn scores, who had a gift double, and now Polanco delivers with a base hit. It's now a 7-7 game.
Well, Joe, you have to be impressed with some of your young players. I mean, a guy, let's throw out there Justin Maxwell. I mean, he's opened some eyes and had another big game, and he's out of options. And, boy, that's got to be a tough call, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's played extremely well. And he came back from a pretty serious shoulder injury last year and had to rehab, and was having a good year in AAA, and it was unfortunate that he got hurt, but he's played well. We've had a lot of young kids come up and play well, and you're going to see some more of them in this game tonight as we move forward.
And notice that Maxwell's getting a lot of playing time. Is that for your eyes or everybody else's as well?
No, that's, for us. I mean, we want to see how he's doing, and a couple good pitches by Corey to bounce back. I mean, this would be big if he could get a double play here and kind of pick us up a little bit. But I mean, we're very curious about him. He missed a lot of last year. I think he went out about May 15th.
And he too can play all three outfield positions if need be. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Wigginton has struck out. Nice bounce back. 2 down now.
Hey, little Coney right there. Didn't quite drop down as far, Coney, but a little Laredo.
Yeah, he's got the ability to throw sliders and fastballs down there. The element of surprise, and he's got that natural knack to be able to do that.
Yeah, he's very athletic, and that helps him. He hasn't thrown a split down there like you have, though.
Joe, one of the guys in your team who throws probably as many pitches as anyone is Freddie Garcia. He threw 6 2/3 of minor league ball today, only gave up 1 run against the AAA Pirates. What did you think of? I know you saw some of that. What did you think about him and how he's looked this spring?
I saw 4 innings, and he looked really good. And, some people might say, well, it was AAA. Well, he saw Alvarez was there, and there was another guy there from the Pirates. I mean, he saw a couple of big league hitters that probably had about 5 or 6 at-bats off him. So, I mean, he faced some stiff competition. He's pitched well all year.
Fly ball to center field. This should do it here in the 5th inning as Dickerson puts it away. Dickerson started with a great put out, now routine out. Joe, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, guys.
Waiting on this next field goal. It's a 7-7 game. Well, fans, tomorrow night, don't miss the Yes Network special event, 10 Years of Yes. It's the story of the magical moments and remarkable people that made up our dramatic first decade, including memories from the athletes, the fans, and the personalities who witnessed history. 10 years of Yes, tomorrow at 7. That's right here on Yes. Another good crowd on hand. Here at Steinbrenner Field, and we got a big pitch of the ball game for the Philadelphia Phillies.
For the Yankees, the right
Pitched
fielder,
just
number
across the
64.
causeway last year in Clearwater.
That's
It was at the stadium.
Maxwell.
Julio Rodriguez. He had a good year. 16-7, 2.76. He's moving on up. Right now he's facing Justin Maxwell. Here in the bottom of the 5th inning, Maxwell's had a good night. Our outing scoreboard, 7-7. Outside, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Jack Curry's still with us. Jack, we want to get you a chair. You've been standing up all these innings.
I like this vantage point. I like to be able to stand and get a look at what's going on from up here. So
that's the way Jim Cott used to do it.
Yeah, he stood up. He was a stand-up guy, too.
You know, Maxwell, we've talked about him a few times in this game, and I wonder, without getting inside his head, the fact that he knows he has no options left. I mean, he comes in, I think you feel freer this spring training. He knows that somewhere along the line he's either going to be a Yankee if he made the Yankee roster, or he might end up somewhere else where that team wants him. So I have to believe that eases his mind a little bit. We saw his numbers in spring training hitting over 350. And David, I think you said it very well. This guy just looks like a player. When you look at him, even during batting practice, you say he belongs.
About 6'5", about 230 pounds. And he has a good swing of this one and fouls it straight back. Phillies have made a number of changes defensively. We'll get them to you as we go along here.
I think the thing you really want to see with this young kid is, you know, we've seen he can handle fastball. But fastball's on the inner half. He's quick and gets to it. You know, how much can he see that steady diet of low and away and sliders and off-speed pitches? The big league pitchers are going to test him with if he gets up there.
Right here.
3 balls and 2 strikes. His last time up, Maxwell delivered a 2-run single. Seven game. And he draws a leadoff walk here in the 5th inning. Maxwell has already stolen a base in tonight's game. And we'll see how Joe Girardi wants to play it here. This has been kind of a wide open offensive game. Does he have Brett Gardner try to lay down a bunt? That's something Gardner's very adept at doing.
Well, those two guys got some war stories, huh? Tommy and Manuel, going back, as you said, Kenny, all the way to rookie ball.
1989.
Did you guys catch the play Tomei made yesterday on ESPN? The highlight, he made a nice diving play along the first base line. I saw him today, and I said, that was quite a play that you made. And he said, yeah, I used to be able to do that all the time.
There's the bunt, and the ball kicks foul. Well, it must have hit a clump of dirt or something because it made an immediate right turn. He said he used to do that all the time.
Right. I think he meant in his younger days he had a lot more mobility, and obviously now he's more of a DH type. Being in the National League, he's going to have to play some at first base, especially until Howard comes back.
Yeah, this is his second time around with the Philadelphia Phillies. You go only back to 2003, and he had 47 home runs for the Philadelphia Phillies. Here's the new defensive alignment for the Philadelphia Phillies. Luna now at third, Nix at first, Schneider doing the catching.
Well, Charlie Manuel now the all-time winningest manager in Phillies history. He passed up Gene Mauch, 646 wins.
Gardner tries to lay down another bunt and fouls it off, and the count is 0-2. I played for Gene Mauch in Montreal. Very good manager. He liked the bunt in the first inning. .6'6". If he lays down, he's going to be in foul territory, won't he?
Yeah, exactly. You know he's itching to go again. You know, another point about Charlie Manuel, you know, you mentioned that he's not a sabermetrics guy, kind of an old school guy. There's just something about Charlie Manuel, you know, when he talks baseball and his southern draw, he just makes a lot of sense, you know. He's got a quick wit. an unbelievable memory. I was talking to him about games I pitched against him 15 years ago. He had unbelievable recall on sequences and pitches, and old school baseball man, but sharp as a whip, and very underrated. And as far as his baseball strategy.
Originally from West Virginia, now makes his home in New Jersey. Little chopper towards short. Jimmy Rollins charging, comes up with it, flips to second, and they call him out. They called Maxwell out. I don't know if Galvis came off the bag. So Maxwell forced to second, leaves Gardner in first.
Number 2, Derek Jeter.
Well, the only chance is at a second base at Forrest because Gardner can fly. And you see, boy, Galvis with an unbelievable play just to catch the ball. Now, whether he stays on the bag or not, we'll see right here.
I think that right foot came off the bag. But instead, it's a Forrest play. Now we'll keep an eye on Gardner at first. I think he wanted to get that leg out of the way of the sliding Justin Maxwell. Derek Jeter's 2 for 3 tonight.
Manuel, though, David, has had quite a career. He played in Japan. Yeah. He was a power hitter over there. I read a very interesting story in one of the Philadelphia newspapers recently, written by Anthony Gargano. He spent the day with Manuel. 8, 9, 10 hours into the day, Manuel wanted to make a hitting point. He screams to his fiance, "Where's my bat? Where's my bat?" She's looking for the bat. He throws a magazine down at home plate, and it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And he was so obsessed with making this hitting point that he made his own little hitter's box, his batter's box right there, and showed the point that he was trying to make about, basically it was about strike zone discipline. And he was a big disciple of Ted Williams, and we all know the Ted Williams book, The Science of Hitting, and where you're going to get your best average when you hit pitches that are in your zone or in the strike zone. But it was a very well done story, and I'm like you. When Charlie Manuel talks, something interesting is usually going to be said.
He is admired and respected by his players for sure, and I guess you could call him a player's manager, although he has made some disciplinary moves. He sat down Jimmy Rollins one day. Jimmy Rollins either showed up late or didn't hustle on a particular play, and sat him down for the remainder of the game, and I think maybe the next game as well.
And I think Rollins backed him up. I think Rollins said what he did was right.
1-1 to count on Jeter. Gardner's on the move. The pitch is a ball, and the ball squirts out of the hand of the catcher Brian Schneider and give Gardner a stolen base. He is now 6-0 this spring. So Gardner was unable to bunt Maxwell to second, but he gets down to second with 1 out on a stolen base.
Well, real no chance for Brian Snyder. An excellent backup catcher here for Philly. Former Met, Montreal Expo, but no chance on an off-speed pitch to get Brett Gardner.
Those guys that you say play for the Montreal Expos, they're going by the wayside. It's getting further and further away from them being in Montreal. There's a look at the former MVP for Charlie Manuel. Jimmy Rollins won that award in 2007.
As much as we said, or I said earlier about Utley not really wanting to talk to the media, Jimmy Rollins can be a reporter's dream. He's a good guy to talk to. He's got some flair. He's animated. He's chatty. He's talkative. Love interviewing that guy. We know with the Phillies and the Mets, he's had some back and forth with the Mets fans. And remember the year he said the Phillies were going to win it, they were going to take it, and everybody thought he was going to be wrong, and then the Mets had that collapse, and Rollins ended up being correct.
Yeah. I bet you if he asked him tonight, who do you think is going to win the division, he's going to say the guys who won it the last 5 years.
And for the people at home who have never seen Jimmy Rollins up close, when you interview him, it is startling to me how small he is.
Yeah.
Just for that guy to be able to sometimes have had the power numbers in his career, and to be about 5'8" or 5'9", it's really amazing.
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins, when he was scouted in high school, the scout knew that he was only about 5'6", and he said if he turns that in on a report, I'm scouting a guy who's 5'6", the cross-checker, the scout on the upper echelon is not going to come and see him. So he turned in 5'9" on the report. And Rollins was definitely the best player. But at 5'6", you're not going to get anybody to take a look at you.
It is
more often than not. Although there have been cases, Freddie Patex, I think of him. He wasn't more than 5'6". Great player for the Kansas City Royals.
Well, if you think about it, Rollins, at one point at its peak, the best player in the National League, and that sort of stature, as you said, that just doesn't happen in any other sport. And, you think in the American League, Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah.
Similar type build. Best player in the game, MVP type candidate.
Jeter fouls off another. In fact, he did win the MVP.
5'8", 180, according to the Phillies media guide. And that season that you're referencing, David, 2007, when he won the MVP, 30 homers, 94 runs batted in, 20 triples, played all 162 games.
That's MVP stuff. And he got paid, too. 3-2 pitch once again to Derek Jeter. And it's low, ball 4. He draws a walk. So the Yankees have 2 men on here with 1 out in the 5th in a 7-7 game. Well, has there been a 1-2-3 inning in this game? Yeah,
bottom of the first.
Yeah,
Right?
the bottom of the first, and that's it. Ever since then, the pitchers have been in deep water. Here's Chris Dickerson, who took over for Curtis Granderson. Granderson had a 1-for-2 night, 2-run homer, and also walked and scored. Dickerson takes over, and this is his first at bat. Checks his swing on a high fastball, and it's ball 1. One thing I noticed right away with Derek Jeter at first and Brett Gardner at second, he's keeping a very close eye on Brett Gardner. With 1 out. There they go. The throw to third is not in time. It's a stolen base. So Jeter was right to keep an eye on Gardner as they both move up and pick up stolen bases. Gardner has now stolen 2 this inning.
Well, Jeter's playing follow the leader, not being held on, so the only play is at third, and Gardner. Good running lead. You see, he never stopped. His feet were moving the whole time. He was bouncing. That was just enough to get the hand in there quicker than the tag.
Pitch is high, and the count is now 3 balls and no strikes on Chris Dickerson. So Rodriguez 1 pitch away from loading the bases, which has been nothing new as far as this game tonight. Here's ball 4, and the bases are loaded. The Yankees have the bases loaded without the benefit of a hit in this inning. And here comes Rich Doobie to talk to the young right-hander.
Rich Doobie's getting his work in tonight. He's been out there several times already.
I've heard a line about pitching coaches with bad pitching staffs where they visit the mound so often that they said they got a shoe contract out of it.
Rich Doobie, I mentioned he was my minor league pitching coach with the Royals. In 1981, a couple of pitchers came in. A guy named Tony Ferreira, who's a baseball instructor down at the IMG Academy, and I came in along with Mark Gubazon. Rich Doobie said that was time for him to retire, so he became a coach. And it was a good move for him, as he's had a great career as a pitching coach.
We're going to have a pinch runner at second base. Derek Jeter's out of the ball game. It's going to be Doug Bernier running at second for Jeter. Jeter had a good night. Reached base 3 times, scored a couple of runs.
Kenny,
walking 2 singles.
You mentioned earlier, Kenny, the Jeter's counterpart, Rollins at shortstop, obviously signed a free agent deal this year, but the one that I'm following now, interestingly, is Hamels with the Phillies, because he's the next guy up, and he can be a free agent after this year. And if I'm the Phillies, their bread and butter is their pitching. I'm figuring out a way, whatever it costs you, I think you have to keep Cole Hamels there. A lefty, a former World Series MVP. You want to keep him with Halladay and Lee, and obviously Doobie would be the guy who would work with him. I think the Phillies have to figure out a way to make sure they keep Hamels there too.
Here's Eduardo Nunez with the bases loaded. His first at bat of the night. He's been hitting well this spring. It takes a pitch outside again. It's a ball and a strike.
We didn't pick our National League Cy Young yet. Huh?
You know what? That was my next order of business. But right now with the bases loaded, this is not a Cy Young situation.
It's Babe Ruth situation.
Yep. Let's see what Nunez could do here in a 7-7 game. He hits a ground ball to second. This could be 2. Galvez tags the runner, throws on the first to complete the double play, and that's it. Rodriguez gets out of the jam, and the score remains 7-7. One out. Gallo spins, and there's the third out. New pitcher in the ballgame for the Yankees as we go to the top of the sixth inning. It's the left-hander, Cesar Cabral, and he's in the mix, being the second left-hander out of the bullpen behind Boone Logan. And both of these pitchers, Clay Rapata and Cabral, have appeared in 9 games apiece. You can see the innings are about even. Cabral has given up 11 hits and 10 in the third. 3 runs, a couple of walks, 12 strikeouts. Impressive. But Rapata's been impressive on his own. 8 in the third, just 3 hits, no runs. And both these guys are making a strong bid. Cabral deals. He's got a good fastball, and it's in there for a called strike. He's facing Freddie Galvis, the second baseman. Yankees have made a lot of changes on the defensive end. Like a changeup and a swing and a miss. You got Bill Hall, the veteran, now at third base in place of Alex Rodriguez. Doug Bernier came in to run for Derek Jeter. He stays in the game at shortstop. High fly ball to the new right fielder. Coming on quickly is Zoilo Almonte, and he makes it. No, did he catch it? Yes, he did. The umpire held one hand out, now throws up the right hand for the out. So Almonte makes his presence known immediately with a nice running catch. Watch him lay out and hold on. Almonte's been impressive this spring, Jack.
He has, Kenny. And you know that play earlier this spring, he had a play where he made a misplay on a ball, a little blooper that he probably should have let drop for a single. It got past him and ended up the decisive run, ended up scoring. So really sharp play by him. He's a guy, as you go forward, Nick Swisher is a free agent after this year, and as the Yankees look towards 2014 and all the talk about how they want to try and keep their payroll under 189, you know, a guy like Almonte might be in the mix.
Juan Pierre's had himself a good night.
Center fielder Shane Victorino.
Base hit for Pierre, his third hit of the ball game. He scored a run.
Kenny, we're getting some news now that Michael Pineda actually felt some soreness in his
right shoulder, behind his right shoulder.
Behind his right shoulder. Didn't tell the Yankees about it before the game, but he did report it to the Yankee coaches after he left the game. So, David, you were talking about him cutting the ball and And obviously maybe that has something to do with the pain that he was feeling in the shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, if you're inhibited with some pain in your shoulder, then that would explain, you know, the sort of him getting around the ball. His arm dropped a little bit.
Pitch to Victorino's in there for a strike, so I'm sure the training staff and the doctors will check that out as quickly as possible, and hopefully it's nothing too serious involving Michael Pineda. Outside to Victorino. We're tied at 7, top of the 6th.
Well, without jumping ahead and speculating, you know, maybe it's just normal soreness and whatnot, but it just goes to show you that the reason why major league teams don't like to make decisions until the last minute, because sometimes those decisions make themselves. Sometimes things have a way of working themselves out, and a lot of talk about the Yankee rotation and who's in and who's out, and you know, that's why you wait till the last minute, because something like this could happen. And I don't want to jump ahead and say, you know, Pineda's injured or whatnot, but obviously the report is that he does have soreness in his shoulder, and you know, we'll see how that plays out.
The old adage is still rings true. You never have enough pitching. 2 balls and a strike on Victorino. Check on the Speedy Pierre at first base. He's already been thrown out stealing once tonight by Russell Martin. Are we going to get around to our National League Cy Young Award winners?
I'll make mine easy. Tim Lincecum. I'm going with one of the odds-on favorites, Lincecum.
Pierre wanted to go, held up, and now the ball is popped up behind home plate. Does Russell Martin have room? Near the screen, and he makes the catch for the out. That is the second out of the inning. David, you better get yours in. There's 2 outs now.
Well, you know, I think in the free agent year, I think this left-hander with Philly, as you see, Russell Martin's just so athletic back there. No problem there on the pop-ups and bouncing and throwing. But Hamels with the Phillies in his free agent year. He's had a great spring. He's in a good spot. The question is runs aboard, you know, with Utley out, will the Phillies score enough runs in his starts? But I'm picking Hamels.
Ball is line foul, maybe a broken bat for Jimmy Rollins. I'm going to stay with the Phillies, but I'm going to go with Cliff Lee, their other left-hander, who is I don't know how you could call him the other left-hander. I think he's their #1 left-hander, and he's going to be #1 in the National League this year. I'll go with Cliff Lee. Some of the things he did last year, I think he went 1 month without giving up a run.
You could go with the top 3 starters in Philly.
Yeah, you could.
They're all candidates.
Yeah, but I think one thing that could hurt them is that if their team doesn't score enough. The Phillies last year had 65 wins by 3 runs or fewer. That showed you how good their pitchers were. And I think they can do it again. These are seasoned veterans. That pitch is going back to the backstop. Cabral uncorks a wild pitch, and Juan Pierre is going to move down to second with the go-ahead run. Well, he's seen a little bit of everything today.
Kenny, about Cabral real quickly. Talked to him the other day, and he's very confident about the spring that he's had. Talked about fastball slider change. He's felt good about all 3 pitches, and he said when he found out that the Yankees had picked him up, he said, hey, the Yankees are one of the best teams in baseball. If I can make that team, he said, good for me. And the one thing that he really said helped him was pitching in the Dominican and winter ball. He said he came to spring training feeling as if his season had already started because he was used as a closer and used in various roles in the Dominican, and he felt like he came here ready to go.
Well, Jack Curry has done yeoman's work up here in the booth tonight. He's stayed well beyond his usual time here in the booth, and he's going to go downstairs and try and find out more about the Michael Pineda situation. We'll try and update you on that as we go along in tonight's ball game. So Jack's going to be all over the place like he usually is, and getting the job done. Jimmy Rollins with a 2-1 count. Off-speed pitch drops in there for a strike, and it's 2-2. Great stuff tonight, Jack. Thanks for being with us.
Fun to be up here, even though you guys didn't give me a seat.
Wait a minute. There's chairs in this booth. Oh, wait a minute. No, there's not. Sorry, Jack.
I like standing.
Wait a minute. No, we're sorry, Jack. There's not a chair for you, but we'll put one on requisition for you next time. But all season long, there will be a chair in the studio for Jack Curry as the Yankees continue the year on yes once the regular season starts. That's it. Phillies do not score. in the top of the 6th. It's still a 7-7 game. Thank you, Jack Kerr. Follow New York Yankees with MLB.com at Bet12 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, WP7, and BlackBerry. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. Text that bet to 31826 or visit Yankees.com for details. Bill Hall is going to lead it off for the Yankees in a 7-7 game in the bottom of the 6th inning. Hall took over for Alex Rodriguez, who went 0 for 3 tonight. We've seen a little bit of everything in this game. The pitch is high for a ball. It's 1-1. Bill Hall last year with the Giants and the Astros, 62 games. Veteran who's a utility player. He's got some power. Curveball hangs high, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
You got to believe Bill Hall at this point is probably playing for the scouts in the stands. You know, even though he's a big league ball player and got a lot of talent, but the numbers don't add up here for the Yankees. So the more than likely, you know, he probably will end up with a job somewhere. You know, even these Phillies might be looking at him right now. They're a little thin in the infield position, and Bill Hall can play outfield as well. So you know, he's a valuable commodity. Just doesn't seem like the numbers are here for the Yankees for him to make this team up.
I think at this stage of his career, he just wants to get to a big league camp and have the opportunity to, as you say, open some eyes. Maybe not so much with the team he's with, because the numbers he knows coming to the Yankees, it's sort of like a set team. And now he's in a home run this spring, and I think all the scouts are well aware of what he's been able to do in the past. And right now he's drawn a leadoff walk here in a 7-7 game. And it brings up Eric Chavez, who's driven in the runs, had a good night going. 2 for 3 with a run scored and an RBI. Takes a pitch for a called strike over the outside corner from Julio Rodriguez. High ball 1-1. Funny with Jacob, but we covered a lot of bases tonight. Went over both leagues. Made our picks. It's a long season. Maybe the people will forget those picks as the season goes along.
Yeah, I wasn't real confident with my picks.
Well, you know, we really didn't go over it. We didn't not like we discussed it yesterday. What we're going to do tonight. We just decided, hey, let's do this. You know, you didn't get a chance to get into all of your sabermetrics and all that sort of thing to make your astute picks. Pitch is lined towards short. Pete Orr, the new shortstop, hauls it in, and there's 1 down. Kind of cued off the end of the bat of Chavez, and there's 1 out. So we got a new shortstop. That's Pete Orr, new center fielder, John Mayberry Jr. You remember watching his dad back in the day with the Kansas City Royals. John Sr.
His father could hit him a long way.
Oh, yes, he
big
could.
left-handed swinging first baseman.
255 major league home runs for his dad. Had a big long swing and was hitting in a tough home run park in Kansas City. Pitches high for a ball to Russell Martin. Martin's 1 for 1 with a couple of walks and a run scored. Having a good spring, hitting at 290. On base percentage very impressive, over 40%. Throw over the first to check on Bill Hall. That's Lance Nix now playing first base. Before the game, there was a reunion of sorts between Lance and his brother Jason, who's here in the Yankee uniform. Ground ball towards the hole, and Russell Martin's good night continues. He's on base for the 4th time. Hall stops at second. Martin's 2 for 2 with the singles, and now they go with a couple of walks. Some of these hitters are rounding into form with a week to go.
Very quick through the zone, short and quick. Russell Martin, just about everything he does is short and quick. Throwing the ball to second base, blocking balls in the dirt.
His night is over now. We got a pinch runner at first base. Here's Andrew Jones, who was 1 for 1 with a couple of walks. Outside for ball 1. Yankees have 2 on with 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Is Addison Maruzak now at first base. Off-speed pitch is popped high in the air behind second base. Freddie Galvis, the second baseman, makes the catch, and there are 2 outs. Jones was out in front of that one, got underneath it. Zoilo Almonte will come to the plate for the first time tonight, taking over for Justin Maxwell. Good changeup, swung on and missed, strike 1. Almonte's a switch hitter. You know how I'm partial to the switch hitters, Coney.
As you should be.
But I've yet to see him bat right-handed this spring. Every at bat I've seen has been from the left side. That pitch is in there for a strike, and it's 0-2.
The wheels are spinning for Mr. Girardi.
He's checking that lineup card to see if there's anybody else who got to get into this ball game, and where can I put him? Little looper towards left center field. Going over is Mayberry Jr., and he makes the catch, and that's it for the Yankees. They leave 2 on here in the bottom of the 6th. It's on to the 7th inning. It's Steinbrenner Field. We're on to the 7th in a 7-7 game. 7-7 on our Ford scoreboard to the top of the 7th, which has been kind of a I wouldn't say sloppy, but kind of a wide open game. A lot of walks, a lot of pitches. Clay Rapata, the new pitcher. He'll face Jim Tomei. Swing and a miss, strike one. Rapata's specialty is facing left-handed hitters. He's got a couple of them to face right off the bat. Low and away to Tomei. Scott Posednik's on deck, another left-handed hitter. Posednik took over for Hunter Pence in right field.
You can see Rapata's style, more of a sidewinder, slider specialist. Not going to be a power guy. Could be a good compliment to Boone Logan, who is somewhat of a power lefty. Sidearm slider specialist.
Tomei's gone. Ball dotted the outside corner at the knees. Good pitch. Tomei caught looking.
Here comes the sidearm slider. You can see not really low underhand, but almost straight sidearm. And a sweeping effect to that slider. Jim Tomei did not like that call.
I'll tell you what, it's no coincidence that Rapata is following Cabral into the ballgame. The Yankees have to make the decision if they're going to use the second left-hander, and they're getting a good look at the two candidates in the same game back-to-back. Here's Posednik.
Well, Rapata more of a specialist, as I said. You know, his fastball there was like 80 miles an hour. Slider in the low to mid-70s. So yep, up to 86 with that fastball, kind of slinging. Cabral probably got a little better stuff in terms on the power side.
See, but Rapata is more of a specialist because right-handed hitters really wear him out. Cabral might be able to get out some righties. That pitch misses outside.
Now, right-handed batters are going to see that delivery much better. Something about when you come in sidearm from the left side or the right side, that the right-handed batters just seem to see it sooner and get a better angle on swinging at that ball.
Deals a strike, and it count levels at 2-2 to Posednik, who's trying to make the Phillies as an extra outfielder. Fouls this one off. Posednik's kind of bounced around lately. He's been with the Dodgers, the Royals.
He was. It was, a lot of people thought it was between him and Juan Pierre. And Juan Pierre was added to the 40-man roster, which really, recently over the last couple of days, which is a signal that he has made the team. And Posednik was clearly visibly upset about that, but was reassured by management that he still has a shot.
Phillies signed him as a minor league free agent. Posednik's been with Seattle, Milwaukee, the White Sox, Colorado, White Sox again, Kansas City, the Dodgers, and now the Phillies. And his game is speed. He's been a stolen base threat wherever he's been.
Yeah, exactly. But Posednik can run. Obviously, he and Juan Pierre, similar style of players. But, when you come in on a minor league contract and towards the end of spring training, and you're added to the 40-man roster, you've made the team. And that's what the Phillies did with Juan Pierre.
3-2 pitches outside for a ball. Posednik draws the walk and takes his speed down to first base. Here's Hector Luna.
So that's the question. Do both of those guys get in? Because Juan Pierre is definitely in. Posednik still waiting.
And we told you Pierre with 554 career steals. Posednik's up there in the stolen base category as well. There's a pitch, and it's in there for a strike to Luna. Posednik with 301 career stolen bases. Throw to first, and he's been picked off. Rapata caught him leading. And that is the second out of the inning.
Well, no doubt Pacetic was leading. Rapata with a quick flip throw. See the move, the look to home, dead to right.
So now 2 outs, nobody on here in the top of the 7th. And a 0-1 count on Hector Luna, who fouls the pitch off. Charlie Manuel really likes this guy. Luna's had a pretty good spring. Charlie knows his hitters. I mean, that was his job before he became a manager. He was a hitting coach and a pretty good hitter, both in the American League and on over in Japan, where he was threatening the all-time home run record one year, and they decided about the last week not to pitch to him anymore. Ball is fouled off by Luna, and the count is 0-2.
Bella Luna.
Pitch is fouled off by Luna. You can't spell lunatic without Luna. Not necessarily meaning him. I'm just saying you can't spell that word without the.
For the Philly and the New York papers could have a lot of fun with that name, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
Some headline grabbers.
Yeah, once in a blue Luna. High fly ball down the right field line. This is going to stay in fair territory. Long run for Almonte, who makes the catch. And that's going to do it for the Phillies here in the 7th inning. It's on to the 7th inning stretch. Why not? It's a 7-7 game. On our Ford scoreboard, it's a 7-7 game as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Quickly, we're going to go down to Jack Curry. Has some news on Michael Pineda. Jack.
Thanks a lot, Kenny. I just spoke to Joe Girardi about Michael Pineda, and he talked about how Pineda felt some soreness behind his right shoulder. This was pain that he had even before he started to pitch tonight. He didn't tell the coaches about that or Girardi. I asked Girardi what his level of concern was. He said, yes, there is some concern. He also said that you have to impress upon young players. If you're feeling something, any kind of pain, any kind of twinge, you have to let the coach or the manager know. You would probably believe, with who Pineda is and the fact that the pain is behind the shoulder, have to anticipate that the Yankees will send him for some kind of test tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Jack. So there's the update on Michael Pineda, who felt some soreness in his shoulder even before he started the ball game tonight, and really didn't have a good outing as he went 2 2/3, 6 runs allowed, 7 hits, a couple of strikeouts and 3 walks. It got roughed up. New pitcher for the Phillies, pitching at Lakewood, an A-ball last year, Luis Alberto Bonilla. Lakewood, I believe, is there in southern Jersey. Well, they're A-ball affiliates. This is Dwayne Wise at the plate, and the count is 2 balls and a strike. Wise took over for Brett Gardner. Wise batting in the 9th spot. The lineup will turn over. Doug Bernier's on deck. Off-speed pitch, swung on and missed. Count levels at 2 balls and 2 strikes. If a young pitcher has a changeup, and it's as effective as that pitch was, he won't be an 8-ball long. He's going to move up.
Yeah, that had a wrinkle in it.
Tried to dot the outside corner with a fastball and missed it. Count is now run full at 3-2. Now this will show me something if he throws a 3-2 changeup to a leadoff hitter. No, instead he delivers. Looked like a slider that's fouled off. We're at the bottom of the 7th inning in a 7-7 tie. Now Ken Singleton, David Kahn bringing you the action, but we will join the Nets pregame show a little bit later on when this game is completed. Wise hits a high fly ball, deep right center field. All the movements are right fielder Persednik. He's going to run out of room as this ball disappears over the fence. Dwayne Wise with a home run gives the Yankees an 8-7 lead. That ball just carried on out of here. For a second, I thought Persednik had a chance to make the play, but he runs out of real estate.
Out of the plate, full extension. Well, you can see he gets the bottom half of the ball and gets it high enough. The ball jumps straight up off his bat. Towering home run. Carries, gone.
Doug Bernier takes a pitch upstairs for a ball. So Dwayne Wise gives the Yankees an 8-7 lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. That pitch is in there for a strike. This game kind of reminds me of what my former manager Earl Weaver had to say. Maybe there's something that made him a Hall of Famer. They don't have to be pretty. They just have to be wins. That pitch misses outside for a ball.
So true. Doesn't matter how you get them. Take them and run.
In about a week from now, everybody's going to forget this game anyway. As the regular season starts, good breaking ball, swung on and missed, counts 2-2. Yankees, of course, open up just across the causeway over at Tropicana Field against the Rays. Pitch is hit on the ground to the third baseman, Luna, who boots it. Bernier is rounding first. He's going to head for second. Here's the throw, and it's not in time. Bernier hustling all the way out of the box, and give Mick Kelleher some credit for waving him on the second. The first base coach, when he hits a ground ball in the infield, you just turn and run towards first. Kelleher alerted him to keep on going to second.
Luna with a half moon through the wickets. And Bernier, look at him, bust it, just bust it. And right here, he gets the sign for Mick Kelleher. Easily in there. Hustle double.
Chris Dickerson swinging at the first pitch, lifts one over towards Luna. They're picking on him tonight. This pitch is out of play. This one's out of play. Dickerson had a walk his first time. There's a lot of runners going down the line. Might not have gotten that signal from the first base coach, but Mick Kelleher was very animated in the box. Keep on going. I'm sure he was. We couldn't hear him, but he was making some noise as well. So another runner in scoring position with nobody out. Outside for a ball, 1-1 to Dickerson.
I mean, Bernier, he can't do much more than he's done this spring to impress people the way he plays the game.
Change-ups outside, 2 balls and a strike. Looking to see where the Phillies open up the season. They open up on the road in Pittsburgh, taking on the Pirates. Off the end of the bat, fouled at the plate. 2-2 on Dickerson. Dickerson's made a good play in the outfield tonight. Ran down a fly ball off the bat of Jim Thome. Dove into the gap in left center. That was a leadoff shot to the gap in the 5th inning. Made a nice running catch. Capable of playing all 3 outfield positions. Has a strong arm as well. This pitch is line, broken back down the right field line. It is a fair ball. Bernier's going to score, and Dickerson will get to second with a ground rule double as the ball bounces into the bullpen. And once again, you got to give a little credit to Mick Kelleher because Bernier was in scoring position because of the Yankee first base coach.
Dickerson, get out of my kitchen, breaks his bat, but strong enough to muscle it, keep it fair. RBI double.
2 runs now for the Yankees this inning. They lead 9-7. Here's Eduardo Nunez, grounded into a double play his first time, and he takes a pitch and breaks over the inside corner for a call strike. Good numbers this spring, hitting .379, on base percentage of .400. That one misses inside. It's a ball and a strike. Very valuable player in the Yankee scheme of things. Eduardo Nunez was impressive last year. 22 steals and just over 300 at-bats. That's high and inside. Does the limbo a bit. Gets out of the way, and it's 2-1. In fact, the late season slump kept him from hitting near 300. He just averaged dropped down to 265. Runners off and running towards third, and it's going to be a stolen base for Chris Dickerson. No chance for Brian Schneider. So now he's in third with nobody out.
Just taking advantage of a young pitcher. Great jump. Almost to the bag already. No throw.
Infield drawn in now. Foul ball off the bat of Nunez. Two managers. Division winners a year ago. Hit towards the middle into center field for a base hit. Yankees now have a 3-run lead as Dickerson tries to get Nunez an RBI. It's a 10-7 game. Nunez continues his good hitting this spring.
Third baseman, number 40,
Well, Charlie Manuel's got to be looking at the depth of this Yankee roster and he's got to be a little envious. Love to have this guy on his team. But the Yankees, Dickerson, Bernier, guys that aren't even going to make the roster. And now you got this kid. Dickerson trots home.
But Nunez will make the roster.
Yes.
Here's Bill Hall, takes a pitch outside for a ball. Yankees now with 10 runs on 13 hits. Runner goes. The throw to second. Not in time. A stolen base for Eduardo Nunez. Yankees kind of have their running gun offense in Tony now.
Well, it's not really Brian Snyder's fault. He's not getting a lot of help out there. Tremendous jumps. And a tough pitch to throw, too. Slider down and away.
Pitch is fouled off by Hall. Let's see how many stolen bases for the Yankees tonight. If I can add these up. 1. Duggan had 2. That's 3. 4. 5. 6 stolen bases for the Yankees. So it's not all about power. Swing and a miss on a high fastball, and Bill Hall is gone. That's the first out of the inning. In fact, the Yankees have played a diversified offense last year. It was catching the league in stolen bases behind the Rays and the Royals.
Great combination.
And the home runs, of course, they were first in the league in homers. Here's Gustavo Molina.
At one point, the Yankees had a chance to lead the league in home runs and stolen bases, and it would have been the first team since the '55 Brooklyn Dodgers.
55 was the only year that the Brooklyn Dodgers won the World Series. They beat the Yankees.
Made the Dodgers
while they were in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yes, when they were in Brooklyn. That's the Dodgers led the league in home runs and stolen bases that year, 1955.
Cody, you're not that old to know that. Off and running to third. The throw is in time. Finally, the Yankees thrown out stealing as they catch Nunez attempting to steal third base.
Brian Snyder with a little payback. It's about time, he's thinking, and that was close. But a good throw by Snyder right there. You got to call him out.
He was close. I don't think Nunez got the best of jumps. 2 outs now, and Molina takes a pitch inside for a ball. 2-1.
Payback for Mr. Snyder, the veteran backup. Good guy, Brian Snyder. Good guy to have in your team. Excellent backup catcher.
He's got some power, too. Two and two. And as you said, there's not many guys left who actually played for the Montreal Expos.
Keep those uniforms. They're going to be worth something. I like those hats, too. Those old Expo
tri-colored hats?
Yeah.
Count is now full at 3-2. Yeah, they were different.
Who's the mascot up there? Loopy or Youpie?
Youpie.
Youpie?
Yeah. I'd tell the story here, but there's 2 outs and a 3-2 count.
It isn't exactly, you know, like the Philadelphia, you know.
Fanatic? No.
Fanatic, no.
There's only one fanatic.
Yeah.
Three-two pitch on the way to Molina. And he hits it off the end of the bat right back to the pitcher. Lizabelto makes the throw. Yankees score 3 times with their first run. And the go-ahead run came on this swing of the bat by Dwayne Wise. A home run. Yankees lead 10-7 at the end of 7. Time for the game summary presented by Lincoln. As we move to the 8th inning, Yankees with 3 in the bottom of the 7th to erase a 7-7 tie. Granderson 1 for 2 with a 2-run homer, a long drive to right center field. Pineda struggled 2 2/3, 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 71 pitches. Jeter 2 for 3 with a couple of runs. And we have since found out that Michael Pineda reported that he had soreness behind his right shoulder. Of course, the Yankees are going to check that out, and we'll see where we go from here. As Lance Nix leads it off in the 8th inning, gets a new pitcher, Chase Whitley, and Nix, ball knocked down by Bernier, and makes the play. Stayed with it and showed a strong arm to throw out Lance Nix, robbed him of a hit. As you said, David, this young man's done a lot of things to open some eyes this spring.
Well, he's got speed. He's got a great glove. Nice reaction there to bounce back up and get something on that throw. Just seems to do all the little things well. He's a solid ball player.
1 up and 1 down. And that'll bring up Brian Schneider, the catcher.
The obvious story of the night is Pineda. And not only how he pitched, but is he okay? So that is now the dominant lead story of the game, as you see Chase Whitley's numbers last year at Trenton in Double-A.
Hit hard off the glove of Nunez. The ball continues on into right center field for a base hit. So Brian Schneider, in his first at bat, has a 1-for-1 night. Nunez with a good effort couldn't flag it down.
You can see this Florida ground is so hard. That ball with a little bit of topspin just took off. Joe Girardi mentioned it last night on our telecast about nothing you can do. These Florida fields are hard as a rock.
Freddie Galvis with his first hit of the night is now 1 for 4. Whitley has given up 3 hard hit balls, including 2 hits. Just a reminder, fans, that our New Jersey Nets coverage are out there on the West Coast playing the Golden State Warriors. Will come up right after this ball game. I know there's some Hoops fans out there. Back to the top of the order, and Juan Pierre. Juan's been the big winner in the hit department tonight. He's got 3 for 4. He chops 1 foul. He's also scored a run and driven in a run.
We mentioned the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1955. It's going to be fun to watch the Nets go back to Brooklyn next year.
Yeah, the new arena.
And Brooklyn back in the big leagues. At least in basketball. I don't think they're going to get the Dodgers back.
No, it's a little too late now. Dodgers have actually played 4 games in Los Angeles, and they played in Brooklyn. Pierre lifts a lazy fly ball, and this is going to be out of play. About 10 rows back. The Brooklyn Dodgers. You look at some of those old Dodgers, starting with Jackie Robinson and Duke Snyder, and Carl Furillo, Gil Hodges, Don Newcomb, Roy Campanella. That's great teams. Ball grounded towards the middle. Good stop by Bernier. Flips the second, not in time. Showing great range to his left. It's going to be another hit for Juan Pierre. He's 4 for 5 today. If he hadn't made the team coming into tonight, he should.
What an outstanding play by Bernier, and he's upset. He thinks he should have made that play. You know, it's remarkable just to get to that ball. This kid thinks he can get everything.
Here's John Mayberry Jr. getting his first at bat. Bases loaded and 1 out. But the Phillies have the tying runs on base. Ball 1, low and outside. Mayberry Jr. might get a chance to play some first base in the absence of Brian Howard. Hit 10 home runs, had 34 runs batted in his last 55 games last year. He closed with a rush. That's in there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Former #1 draft pick of the Texas Rangers. studied political science at Stanford. Doesn't get a change up there, and it's 1-2. About 6'6". Fouled at the plate. Now, you mentioned his dad, a big, strong, left-handed hitter.
Now, Big John Mayberry, one of the best players in Royal history. Yeah. Up on the all-time home runs list. Back in the glory days of the Royals.
It's one of the guys you grew up watching, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It's got to be a thrill for him to see his son. A chance to be an impact player in the big leagues.
Another foul ball. Mayberry ended with 15 home runs and just 267 at-bats. Spent some time in the minors last year, but Phillies like him a lot as well. He can play the outfield, all three outfield positions, and as I said, going to get a chance to play some first base. Chase Whitley got the first Philly out. Now giving up 3 consecutive singles. The Phillies have the bases loaded and 1 out. Bouncing ball, and it's a foul ball down the third base side, off the glove of Bill Hall. What had been 27 hits in this game. Inside, and the count is 2-2. This has been a night where the pitchers' ERAs have been roughed up somewhat, and the hitters are starting to get ready for the regular season. Just a week away. Pitch is drilled foul this time. Count holds at 2-2. Beginning of spring training, the pitchers always seem to have the advantage. Hitters are not nearly ready. But as you get towards the end of spring training, the pitchers do not make their pitches. The hitters begin to make them pay and show that they're getting closer and closer to opening day throughout Major League Baseball. Mayberry's seen just about everything Whitley has. Ground ball towards third. On the back end, Hall steps on third, throws to first to complete the double play, and Whitley gets out of the jam. The Phillies do not score as Mayberry grabs it to a 5-3 double play. We've played 7.5 innings, and the Yankees lead 10-7. Friends, it's time to check out the Mazda upcoming schedule. Yeah, we got it for you right here. Let's see what's coming up. On Yes, you've got the Yankees taking on the Mets on the 3rd. But before that, on the 1st, they're in Miami. The new stadium. I'm going to watch that just to see what the new Miami Marlins Stadium looks like. Then on the 3rd, they take on the Mets at Port St. Lucie. Then our final game of the spring. That'll be the final game between the Yankees and the Mets in a home-and-home series. That's also on Yes. Then we play for real.
Still don't leave the state, though. You got to stay in Tampa.
Yeah, well, just across the causeway over in St. Pete. New pitcher is Colton Murray. He pitched in Williamsport last year. Just 1 home run allowed in 30 innings. And he gets a chance here to face Andrew Maruzak, who's going to lead it off for the Yankees here in the bottom of the 8th. And the first pitch is in there for a call strike.
You know, Addison Maruzak, a local boy, Clearwater area, actually was a student of my minor league roommate, Tony Ferreira, here in Pro Kids Baseball.
Addison Maruzak grounds the short. High hop for Pete Orr, and he guns it to first. Here's 1 out.
Kind of the popular names of the day, right? Colton and Addison.
What happened to David and Tim?
Like 80. That's an 80s thing. I mean, all these kids are, some of these kids are born in the 90s now.
Francisco Arcia is now batting for the Yankees, taking over in the DH role. Well, the Yankee minor leaguer invited over to be in tonight's game. Rips one foul in front of Nick Kelleher. That's the benefit of having your minor leagues right down the street. I guess they post a list of the players that should stay and head down the street to Steinbrenner Field. You might get in a ball game tonight. Arcia takes a pitch for a strike, and it's 1-2.
You know you're going to get a decent post-game meal over here on the big league side. Get a cup of soup and a carrot stick over on the minor league side.
I kind of remember those days. Yeah, a cup of soup.
Maybe a hard-boiled egg. You know, you're going to get a real spread over here in the big league clubhouse.
You might want to move in. Ball with 2 strikes on Arcia. And he drills one to the corner. He made his trip over here worthwhile. Radley first, on his way for second. And he's going to be in with a stand-up double. Francisco Arcia. Yeah, he's a happy young man.
Yeah, babyface big back. Turns on him. Stay fair, stay fair. Oh!
Kicked up some chalk. So Arcia's at second with 1 out. And Zoilo Almonte is at the plate. And he fouls one off. We got it from A to Z. Addison to Zoilo in this inning. And all stops in between. Way upstairs for a ball from Murray. Phillies have used 7 pitchers in this game. There's a call strike, and it's 1-2. For you basketball fans who are waiting patiently, the next game will be coming up right after we are finished here at Steinbrenner Field. It's kind of been a long game tonight. We got 28 hits in a ball game and 17 runs. There've been some men on base constantly. Bouncing ball towards the middle. Oh, a bad hop goes through his legs. Garcia is headed home. He will score on the throw to the plate. Almonte goes to second. It's now 11-7 Yankees. You know what? I'm going to give him a base hit on that. It took a bad hop on Orr. Orr had it lined up, and the ball went through his legs. But I think it might have hit the lip. We'll see. Yep, hit the lip of the grass and the dirt. And took a bad hop through the legs of the shortstop Pete Orr. Oh, they're giving him an error. It shouldn't be an error.
Well, he had it all sized up, and then the shift in the hop off the lip.
Here's Dwayne Wise hit a home run his last time up. Wise jumped one over the right center field fence. A ball and a strike. This is one of those nights where you didn't want to pitch. Something was going to happen. One ball and 2 strikes on Wise. Yet another reminder for you basketball fans that the Nets are out there. They're in Golden State taking on the Warriors. And they'll be on yes right after we are done here at Steinbrenner Field. This ball's hit well to right field. Does Dwayne Wise have another one? Back goes Pasenik to the wall. Looks up. This one is gone. A 2-run home run for Dwayne Wise. It's now a 13-7 Yankee lead as Wise is 2 for 2 tonight with 2 home runs. He's homered in consecutive innings.
Well, have a night, Dwayne Wise. Another ball up in his letters, up in his eyes almost. Another towering home run.
Here's Bernier, and he takes a pitch, and it's inside for a ball. There's Almonte at second. This is not staying in. So the Yankees have roughed up some of the Philly minor league pitchers who have come across from Clearwater. The Yankees have scored 6 runs in the last 2 innings and now lead 13-7.
A bad start to the game. Anytime these spring training games and you try to make a reliever start the game. The Phillies started the game with a reliever, Bastardo. It's not a good sign.
There's a walk to Bernier. You know what? I didn't think of that, but you could be right. Bastardo was probably the Phillies' best pitcher. He faced 4 batters and got them all out.
And Papelbon came in early in this game.
He got hammered.
It was all backwards. All the relievers pitched first. They were out of sorts. And on the Yankee side, you know, on a serious note, Pineda probably should have been out there. If he felt stiffness in his arm, as he said, according to Jack Curry, in his right shoulder, behind his right shoulder. It is the story of the night. Michael Pineda, the Yankees' great young pitcher that was acquired in the trade with Seattle for Jesus Montero, said that he was hurting before the game but didn't say anything. And waited till after the game, had a rough performance, and we will await further word, but it is definitely the story of the night. Pineda with a sore shoulder.
No balls and a strike on Chris Dickerson. 1-1. You know what, David? Maybe the pressure of making the rotation led to silence.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's probably what happened. He wants to be impressive, trying to impress his new teammates and his manager, Joe Girardi. And as Joe Girardi said, you got to be honest. You got to tell us if you feel something in your shoulder. It's too valuable. He's too valuable.
Not only shoulder, anywhere.
Anywhere, yes.
Dickerson fouls one back.
But you're probably right. He's feeling the pressure. He wants to, he wants to impress his teammates, make the rotation, and hopefully he didn't do too much damage to his shoulder.
Tomorrow morning, Pineda is scheduled for an MRI. Check things out. That's outside for a ball. Three balls and 2 strikes now on Dickerson. Yankees have a man on with 1 out. They've scored 3 runs here in the 8th. And he has struck out on a 3-2 pitch. 2 down. Fans' copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. Colton Murray, the 7th Philadelphia pitcher. And right now he gets to face Eduardo Nunez. Like a slider, but it was in there for a strike. 1 for 2, an RBI single and a stolen base for Nunez. That one got away, and it's a ball and a strike. That is in there for a strike, and it's 1-2 on Nunez. Nunez has bounced back from an injury this spring. He was hit by a pitch in, I believe it was one of the first 2 games of the spring training session. The first game, in fact, against the Phillies, missed some time while it was popped up and out of play behind home plate. And you were wondering how he was going to come back. For a while, it was kind of touch and go. Every time he tried to swing a bat, his hand would bother him. But he has come back with a vengeance. Been hitting well, near 400 in limited action this spring. Looks like he's ready to go. That was kind of a weak hack, but he fouled it off. Even he's got to laugh at that one. This is a little unconventional.
What you call a jelly leg and then a phone booth swing.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Had everybody laughing.
Like trying to swing a bat in a phone booth. You know?
Bring those arms in tight. Full count now on Nunez. We've had a lot of full counts tonight, too. Runner goes. The pitch is on the way. Ground ball towards second. Galvis been very steady at second base tonight. Makes the play. But the Yankees scored 3 more times. Last chance for the Phillies coming up. Leading the Philadelphia Phillies 13-7 as we go to the top of the ninth inning. For you basketball fans waiting patiently, we'll be getting out to the West Coast where the Nets are playing the Golden State Warriors as soon as this game is over here at Steinbrenner Field. Yankees have a new pitcher in the ball game, Ryan Pope. Those are his numbers last year at AAA, and he's in charge of getting the last 3 outs here against these Phillies. And then we can turn it over to basketball. Pete Orr is up there, and he takes a pitch for ball 1. That levels the count of the ball with a strike. 29 hits, 20 runs and 29 hits in this game. As David Cohn said, it's all the fault of the Phillies by starting a reliever. There's a line drive to the shortstop, and there's 1 out. Bernier makes the play.
Number 18, Luis Montañez.
Luis Martinez will come up. He takes over in the DH role that was held down by Jim Thome. Thome had a double in 3 at-bats to go along with a walk. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. And they say Martinez. This is Montañez, Luis Montañez. He spent some time in the big leagues. .321 last year in AAA. Spent some time in big leagues with the Baltimore Orioles. That pitch is low. So Cody, you would not call this a textbook pitcher's night.
Definitely not. We got it backwards from the start, and you know, it's, you start seeing pitchers that have numbers in the 90s on their back at this point in the game. I mean, you've never seen anybody wear a number 100, so you know, 94, 96.
I'll tell you what, the Yankees keep retiring numbers. You're gonna get into triple digits.
Means a lot for Ryan right here. This is Ryan's hope for Ryan Pope right here. You get a chance to pitch in the 9th inning.
Cody, you're going back in time. He walks Montañez, so there's 1 on with 1 out. What was that, a soap opera back in the day?
Back in the day, that's right. Long running.
Any stars break in on that soap that of note?
Oh yeah, you know, I think maybe Meg Ryan was on that soap.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That was before Harry Met Sally, right?
That was much before.
There's a pitch for a strike to Posednik. Trying to think of anybody else. I didn't really watch that show. This pitch is hit in the air to left field. Dwayne Wise. He's had such a good night. He's going to have no problem with this. Makes the catch for the out. It's out number 2.
The hitting star of the game right there, Dwayne Wise. A couple of towering home runs, back-to-back at-bats. Good time to have it towards the end of spring training. Don't know if he's going to make this club, but a lot of people watching.
This is the type of game you get once in a blue Luna. It's kind of fitting that he could be the last out here. First pitch is a strike to Luna. He's had 1 at bat and flying out to right field. Ryan Pope trying to retire the Phillies here in the 9th inning, give the Yankees a 13-7 win. Long drive to left field. On the run is Wise. He's not going to get there. The ball hops over the fence. So Luna refuses to make the last out. And he has himself a double. So now the Phillies have runners at second and third with 2 down. And basketball is going to have to wait a little bit longer. Just a reminder, basketball on the way shortly. Lance Nix will come to the plate. Nix grounded out to short his first time. He was robbed of a hit by Doug Vernier. We're taking away time from Ian Eagle and Mike Fratello. You don't want those two guys mad at you. The 0-1 pitch is line base hit by Bill Hall. The Phillies are going to score a couple of runs. Lance Nix has himself a double. And it's now a 13-9 ball game. Phillies refuse to go quietly here in the 9th inning.
Catcher, Ryan Schneider.
Give Nix a couple of runs batted in.
Well, Nix was the happiest guy in the house. Charlie's worn out. He's hungry.
Here's Brian Schneider. And he's got his hitter swinging at the first pitch. He fouls it back. It'd be easier to count the innings where runs have not been scored in tonight's game. That's a pitch outside for a ball. Well, we understand, we get note from the truck that Cesar Cabral, who pitched in tonight's game, is going to get an MRI, left elbow pain. So we've had a couple of pitchers come up with arm problems tonight. Michael Pineda, of course, the big story. Soreness behind his shoulder. The Yankees are going to send him for an MRI tomorrow. Now Cesar Cabral come up with elbow problems. Phillies down to their last strike. 1-2 on Brian Schneider. Two and 2 on the pitch in the dirt.
Well, a tough break for Cesar Cabral. The young lefty that's so impressive this spring was really in the running. Maybe the front runner to be the lefty out of the second lefty out of the pen, although Clay Rapano's had a great spring as well.
Ground ball towards second. This should do it. Nunez up with it. Throws on the first for the final out. And the Yankees do win this by a score of 13-9. That'll do it from here at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, Florida. For David Cohn and Jack Curry, I'm Ken Singleton saying so long, everybody. The Yankees win this by a final score of 13-9.